Okay, let's do a quick voice check here. Toro,
I'm here.
Balthazar,
I'm here.
Oriana,
I am here.
Callus,
Present.
Talandris,
I am here.
Jareth, still away. Merrick.
Here.
Okay. We'll wait until Chris types something up in chat here. Did anybody want to do try to do just a brief recap of the role play kind of stuff that we had done last time? And no, your inspiration has not gone away.
Okay, thank you.
That's only after a combat encounter. Okay, so after patching up the halflings on the caravan and sort of going through and looting the bodies that you guys saw, you guys noticed that each of the bandits was wearing a sort of mark, a circular mark that looked like it had a crucifix cross on it with a squiggly line that ran from one end of the lateral to the other. Sort of quickly jotting these notes down and kind of questioning Oriana on her judgment and her decision-making skills in the heat of battle due to the one guard that was sort of burnt alive pretty much by her electricity straight yamching that fool in her quest to take down the other bandits. You guys sort of reached a silent compromise to where that this will be discussed later, just not now in front of everybody else. You guys then made your way and arrived into the town of Eastbrook. There you you guys split off from the halfling party who took your cart laden with their goods up to the Woodman's Wife Tavern, where they're going to be staying with their cousin, who was the owner. And then you all went into the sheriff's office. There you got a peek at the notice board on the outside, where you also met the deputy and Sheriff Steiger. You learn that Sheriff Steiger is not a big fan of Commander Unger because Commander Unger apparently slept with his wife, and that wound has not healed. And from there, you guys received an open job invitation to sort of patrol the city during the coming election and also through the carnival that was kind of happening in the market square that day. Accepting the job, you guys then went and found a place to stay before going out and handling some private business. And once you finally went to the fair, you guys enjoyed some fair games. Toro finally got to experience fair food and all of its wonders. You guys encountered an odd scene of a gentleman sort of being pressed against the wall in an alley, sort of scared. You chased off the perpetrator who was pressing him against the wall. He was very cagey, sort of just telling you to get off and get away from him. He didn't do anything wrong. He was being accused of sort of strong-arming the person for voting for the high priestess. And he was like, no, he just owes me money. And his stubbornness won out. And eventually you guys just sort of let him go and kind of forgot about it for a bit and went back to sort of patrolling the fair, to which nothing really happened. And after a brief entrance into the dwarf beer drinking competition, you guys went merrily back to the Fool's Respite for a day's worth of rest. Waking up in the morning, you guys decided to break off yet again to handle some private business before meeting back to the burnt down town hall that you guys wish to investigate together as a group. Callus was on his way to Morgrim's Armaments in the industrial section, while Merrick, Oriana, and Toro are returning to the Jeweled Cedar to speak with the owner, Tristan Glenn, over some breakfast and tea, while Talandris and Jareth are accompanying Balthazar to Spry Steel's, a tinkerer's shop in the Cardrain market area of town, where he promised to sort of meet up and look at what dippish Sprysteel, the gnomish woman who made the mechanical bull, has in her shop for him to sort of look at, peruse, and buy for his spells. And that is where we're going to pick up, and I'm going to move you guys back to the Eastrook map. Now, as you guys are sort of wandering and breaking off from Crook's Cross, and sort of making your way towards your desired destinations, each of you felt what looked to be, or what seemed to you to be, a sense of people watching you. And as a matter of fact, all of you rolled pretty good on your perception checks previous session, to which all of you kind of noticed that through the crowds and the morning bustle, you'll catch people sort of looking at you and then quickly looking away and then walking off in the opposite direction. Callus, as you were moving down the main thoroughfare towards the industrial section, you walked by the sheriff's office. And there you saw Marissa, the deputy, sort of unloading her horse, wiping it down, taking off the saddle. She sort of waves over towards you. Do you continue on?
Well, if she needs to talk to me, I'll go and see what she needs.
So you walk up and you see that she's just brushing down the horse. She kind of smiles as you walk up. It's like, so how are you finding our town?
Well, I got a massive headache from the party last night, so it's going great.
You're lucky. At least you got to party. Had to spend all night out in the bush.
I see. Are you on the prowl for those heathens? Those terrorist people?
We went out to where you all told us that the attack happened, and we saw the wreckage of the carriage. The first thing we did was check the house. We found the family bound and gagged down in the cellar. So thankfully they didn't have to stay there too long. Mostly went out to see if we can retrack them down, but those bandits are better than most at covering their trail. It's almost unnaturally so. But if you ask me, I have my own suspicions. I have a heart to think that most of the farmers out there support them.
Would they have reason to support them?
You know, banditry. Steal from the rich, give to the poor. Make a lot of money here, but most of the people, well, a lot of their money's given up to taxes, you know.
What do you think about this election thing?
It's weird, but I kind of like the power of having a choice, you know what I mean?
It's always good to have choice.
Granted, I wasn't expecting to have to choose between a church and a bank, but that's what people wanted, so that's what I'm hoping. Personally, I think I got my eyes set on the High Priestess. She's a kind enough woman, helps out, you know.
And the other one, what are your thoughts about them?
He's kind of a slime ball, you know. I mean, most of the town and most of the people that live out on 10th Street, he put them there with them loans he gave them. But then you look at some of the other people that are thriving in the market, his loans help start their business. I guess it's a give and take. I just don't like that he doesn't leave them a lot of room.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
But you look like you had some business. Why don't you head on out? Why don't you and your pals catch me over at the tavern later on tonight?
Yeah, we'll look for you. Anyways, good day.
And she just goes back, brushing the horse, sort of washing it over with water to get the sweat off before she leads it back to the stables. You begin to make the circuitous route through the lumber yards and the industrial area that's already thriving and going, like wood's being cut and sawed. You hear the sort of soothing sounds of the tinking of hammers on anvils and the sort of cracking of stone from mallet and chisel as you kind of make your way over there, and you see the wide open double doors that enter the large building of Morgrim's Armaments. And it's already quite busy. You see that they have stockpiles of what look like short swords, long swords, and daggers kind of being put into boxes, freshly handled and everything, sort of put in. And he sees you kind of walk in, and he sort of smiles and walks up and says, "What can I do for you, cousin?"
I was wondering if you could do something with this. I will put down my chain weapon, and I go, I picked it off of a half-orc brigand down in Dastow. It's not quite my size.
Well, I mean, it's just a spiky chain. I'm amazed you can even use this in combat.
Well, it's been quite cumbersome. I was wondering if you could get creative with it.
I think I got some ideas. And he sort of goes over to an anvil, and he sort of starts, looks like he's doing math on a paper, sort of taking measurements. He's like, granted, I can use the chain as scrap, but I'm not really thinking of reutilizing it. I'd be more happy to use my metal if that's all right with you.
That would be delightful.
For 10 gold, labor, materials, I can have something whipped up for you by end of day. Just come back.
I think 10 gold is quite a fair price, brother.
Sounds good. Can't wait for you to see it. And he kind of smiles as he kind of rubs his chin, and you see he's kind of excited to make a weapon that's not just a short sword axe or long sword, and he sort of gets going and he starts taking measurements, and before you know it, he's starting to work as you just kind of make your way out. Balthazar, Jareth, and Talandris. You guys take the long road east, and before you know it, you sort of turn, and there you see a large hanging metal sign sort of engraved in copper and bronze. It says Spry Steels.
I'll walk ahead from the door for Balthazar.
Well, thank you.
I stay to the back of the group, taking stock of everything around us.
Balthazar, you walk in, and you guys walk in, and you see that there's like moving mechanical toys. There's a series of clocks. There's also up on higher shelves what look to be sort of articulated hands and legs. And you see at the counter, sort of bent over, looking through a large lens at a small device with 2 small screwdrivers in her hands, Dippish Sprysteel. She doesn't look up at your arrival. She just says, "Come on in. Let me know if you want something."
So in turn, I go up to her. Dippish! Remember me?
She looks up and she smiles, and Balthazar and his boys who couldn't tame my bull. And she smiles even louder. "What can I do for you all today?" "Oh, you're here to look at, you said gears?"
A bead, actually. I'm looking for a particular crystal bead.
That's right. Give me one quick second. And then she walks over and she opens a drawer. And you see that she just pulls out what looks to be a tray of marbles. They're all crystal glass. We use them for lighting implementations such as this. And she pulls out a lamp. But you see no oil. You just see a fine set of what looks like thin filament wire that attaches to the crystal. And she sort of turns it, and it starts to glow slowly and then grows brighter.
Well, that's very interesting indeed.
Fascinating.
It's a basic miner's lantern. Fuel can be dangerous. Safety precautions, but I've found that most people just don't want to buy it. It's just a little bit more expensive, but I mean, it's better than lighting yourself on fire.
How much are you selling for that? I sometimes find myself in the dark and I need a light. I can't always have this little guy next to me all the time. I pat Balthazar.
Well, this little puppy right here cost you 20 gold.
What would we say to like 2 platinum?
I say 2 platinum equals 20 gold.
I know. I just try and clear off my extra stuff here. I've never been good at haggling. Okay.
And she smiles warmly. She kind of readjusts the sort of quadrifocals that are on her face. You see that she has regular glasses, and then there's a series of smaller lenses that move, that can move up and down to sort of enlarge magnification on smaller objects. And no problem. She'll slide it over, and she'll here. I'll even.
How long does the light last?
Well, that's the
How
thing.
long does it usually last?
It lasts until you break it.
Oh, so you can just turn it off and on as much as you want, unless it gets
As much as you want, but be gentle.
Me personally, I'm always gentle, but the things that try to hit me are usually not.
Dippish, for what I'm looking for is a very unique crystal bead that would be used in my wizard incantations.
Are you looking for a jeweled crystal, or are you looking for just regular crystalline gas or glass?
Let's go with a jeweled crystal.
Give me 1 second. She pulls back the crystal glass filament that she brought out. And she kind of goes into the back, and she brings back what looks to be almost raw chunks of gems and jewels that haven't been cut yet. Is there a specific size that you're needing, or a specific cost for your spell?
No, just a small crystal will suffice.
She grabs a small, greenish, sort of emerald-looking gem that's kind of raw. Then she kind of hands it to you.
Oh yeah, something like this should do nicely.
An uncut gem like that will only run you about 10 gold.
Well, that sounds excellent. I reach in and pull out 10 gold and hand it over to her.
What about you, handsome? She kind of calls back to you, Talandris. Anything catch your eye?
As I'm like spacing out, kind of glancing at everything, I acknowledge her. I'm like, what all else do you sell within your store?
And you can just use the lantern setting on the light sheet that has it. She was going to hand over one of the extra glass beads for Balthazar's spell, but he was looking for a more jeweled, crystalline sort of bead. Because you imagine if that thing breaks, you're going to have to bring it back to a tinkerer to get it fixed. Is there anything in particular you're looking for, Talandris?
Not too much in particular. She's just a tinkerer's shop, or does she have other
It's a
things?
tinkerer's shop. But the odd thing is too is that you see what looks to be mechanical hands and arms and legs, and they're very articulate. And they're making, you can see like thin wire that runs from the hand's fingertip back, as if you can use it to move around. And there's just a lot of small little toys and clocks and small little gizmos and gadgets that would probably fascinate a lot of people to see, like, move around and walk. Like a lot of things that you might buy, like your child, if you're rich enough to give them one of these as like a toy.
So probably not much that would actually interest Talandris.
There's no weapons, no guns, no bombs. Nothing like that.
No rings or necklaces imbued with stuff.
Nope, she is not a jeweler.
So just taking in the sights. I did hear this town did have a area that was at least had some elven residents. Would you be able to point me to a shop that might specialize with elven work?
As for elven work, you can get food. That's really about it. I mean, most of the people here are wood elves. Well, half wood elves, I guess you could say. Most of the wood elf colonies inside the Deepwood. There's another one of your lot here. He runs the Ruby Dragon.
Oh, I did meet him actually at the fair.
No, I highly doubted you'd see him there. He never leaves his house.
He was the only half-elf I ran into. Beat me in
Well.
the archery contest.
He ain't half elf. He's like you. He's full. He came to town about, say, 30 years ago. Started up his little inn, and before you know it, started making money.
I'll have to pay him a visit. Thank you.
No problem. Well, come on back if you need anything else. While you were here, Balthazar, did you want to buy the 5 gold, the extra gears for your gear shield spell?
Yeah.
Because remember, each casting of it requires 5 gold points worth of gears. So if you want to cast it 3 times on 3 different people in a fight, you need 15 gold points worth of gears for that spell, because it's 5 gold per. But the spell doesn't consume it.
Yeah, so I'll go ahead and buy some more of those, and I'll put a notation down.
How much did you want to buy? Did you want to buy just an extra one, so you can cast it twice?
Well, hold on. Let me double back and look at this, because we decided that Gear Shield was going to be concentration. So
No. We'll take away the concentration just because it already has a gold point cost. But to cast it multiple times, you're going to need multiple gears.
yeah,
So
that's
you can't
fine.
cast it twice if you only have a handful of gears worth 5 gold, because that's, once you throw all those gears out of your pouch, then that 5 gold amount of gears is spinning around somebody like Jareth or Toril. And you wouldn't be able to cast it again without another 5 gold points worth of gears. See what I'm saying?
Yeah. So I'll do 3 total. So let's do 2 more.
Okay, so just mark 10 gold off of your sheet, and she'll hand you some gears.
Perfect. Yeah, and I'll notate the 3 total on the sheet.
And then that takes away the need for concentration and all that stuff and makes it more fun.
That works. I'll take that off as well.
as you're just throwing shrapnel everywhere. Okay, you guys begin to leave the store after all your business is accounted. Jareth is sort of marveling at his really tiny gnomish lantern. And it's really small, Jareth. Like, it looked large in her hands, and then she gave it to you, and you're holding this thing like a Coke can. And you sort of look at it, and you turn it, and you see that it sort of poof, and then it starts to grow brighter and brighter as, like, the filaments energize. Then you sort of click it off, and you sort of start looking for different places to hang this thing on your body. It's a pretty neat little device.
Yeah, I think it's awesome. I'm gonna enjoy it a lot. Because I was marveling over the clocks and things like that too, just the intricacy that's involved.
Toril, Merrick, and Oriana. You guys find yourself back on the lower hill of Rosepool Borough, making your way to the end of the street, and there you see the very gaudy crystal cedar sign on the front of the building of the Jeweled Cedar, seemingly open for business. As you guys walk in and open the door, you see Tristan sort of look at all three of you again and light up with a bright smile, and she's like, my friends, welcome back.
Good morning, Tristan. It's good to be back. Is it too late for a spot of tea?
Absolutely not. Please, come in. And he sort of brings some chairs in from the back, and he just kind of sets it up front, pulls like a small side table, and he sort of rushes in from the back, and you think that he's had this ready for quite some time. And he kind of brings this full tea set out and kind of sets it on the table and starts pouring tea and handing it to every one of you, and kind of sits down, and he's like, so, anything interesting happened yesterday?
Indeed. We spent some time with our companions, part of our group, as we've been deputized in a way, and I kind of show them the badge that I have received. So we walked around the festival, the celebration, and made sure that the peace was kept. And during this festival, somebody seemed to have been roughed up by someone else, and it seemed he was being forced to vote a certain way in this upcoming vote. Have you heard any rumors or stories about this type of activity in this neighborhood?
Well, you didn't hear it from me, but... And he sort of leans in, like, conspiratorially closer, like holding his saucer and his teacup. I have heard plenty of stories of ruffians and thugs moving about on behalf of both candidates, trying to get them to vote, but I don't even actually think that the candidates themselves would condone that sort of behavior, but it seems the town is getting desperate for somebody to be on their side.
Well, I personally have never experienced a vote for leadership where I come from. That's unheard of, and seemingly not the norm in these lands either. So, being such a new thing, maybe the townsfolk are just nervous about how it will unfold.
True, but isn't it exciting? And he kind of leans in.
It is, as long as people aren't hurt.
There hasn't been much way of attacks. I mean, there have been muggings and things like that, but that's not really tied into the election per se. More so just the everyday dealings, I guess you'd say, of the common folk trying to work their way up. I mean, with the idea of the bandits out about moving around not being able to get caught, the idea of becoming bandits themselves are starting to spread through the town like wildfire.
Well, I do hope the vote happens sooner rather than later, as in my experience, whenever a leader is deposed or gone, a power vacuum forms, and all kinds of criminal element try to step up and take control. So the longer that there is no leader in a place, it seems the worse things can get.
I know that they rescheduled the speeches due to the town hall burning down the other day. They had one to open the festival yesterday, and I believe today at the market they're going to have another. And the election itself and all the voting, and he kind of air quotes it, should be taking place in the market the day after, or tomorrow.
Well, that might be something we'll have to keep an eye on as well. Keep the peace, as it were. Were you able to finish the my request?
Ah, yes. And you sort of look at this, and he hands you your medallion that he polished to the nines. You could eat off this thing. It is spotless. You don't remember it being that color before. It looks brand new. And perfectly inset in the middle of the medallion is the small pyramid cut gem that you asked for.
It takes my breath away. It gleams like the sun, my friend. And I kind of make a symbol of a star on my forehead and say, "May the glory of the light be with you. You have done blessed work."
It's my pleasure for such good company. And he kind of looks at everybody in the room. So what are your plans for today? Did you want to stick around, talk a little more shop?
As much as I would love to, good friend, we are actually we have some work to do today. I wanted to take some time to investigate the fire, the town hall that burned down. See if perhaps there might be a clue to who the arsonist was that might have been missed or passed over. With the guidance of my great Lord Pelor, maybe I can find something that others have missed.
Well,
Fresh set of eyes.
I can see that. The hubbub has probably died, so there'll be less gawkers moving about, but don't be surprised if you see some goosenecks looking your way.
I'm used to that, friend. It seems from the way I look and dress and perhaps even my charm, I turn heads no matter where I go.
But thank you all for stopping by. This was a lot of fun. Do bring your companions. I do look forward to meeting them.
Certainly, and if I can send some business your way, I will definitely recommend your shop.
You take my breath away. You guys excuse yourselves. Make your way back out. Again, you notice through the sort of crowds that are kind of walking around through this sort of more bougie shop neighborhood, there's still some like sidelong glances kind of looking your way. And then they look away sharply and you kind of lose them in the rush of people. And you begin to move your way back down towards the main street again. And all of you find yourselves, after a little bit of a wait, one by one, at the burnt down town hall. Which is F over here. And what you notice through everything is it looks like everything burnt down to the stone foundation of this very large building. There's a couple like pillars left of wood that you imagine were very thick, that are no more than like sapling size. Whatever burnt here burnt very hot, very fast. And even though there's no smoke left, there's an acrid sort of tang in the air that almost kind of gives off a chemical taste in your mouth. It's sort of not natural.
You know, that's what I was going to ask. Is there any way to tell with these burns and my newfound alchemical knowledge if, like, what may have ignited the fire or what allowed it to burn just here?
you can give me, as you start to pull out your alchemy supplies, you can give me an alchemy supplies check using your investigation, so intelligence.
Could I help him with that?
Sure, and it looks like, well, are you proficient in investigation, Callus?
No, I am not.
Okay, so with the guidance and Callus's help, I'll give you
I was on mute.
I'll give you a +2 with Callus's help, so you'll get your alchemy supplies intelligence check with a +2 bonus, and then also the guidance from Toril.
So that's 21 plus 2.
So it's 23 plus.
4. I'll add the plus 2 to this 4. So that's 21 plus 4.
Okay, so as you kind of set down your CSI kit, as everybody else is kind of wandering around looking at everything, you're taking sample scrapings from stone, sample scrapings from some of the standing wood pillars, and just some general scrapings moving about. And you sort of begin to analyze it in different solutions, and you can see that there is a combination of magical residue as well as chemical residue. It's a very strange combination to find side by side. You're not picking up a chemical residue that you would from a fire breath spell or an alchemist fire sort of concoction. You are picking up chemicals that sort of go hand in hand with a very magical presence.
Okay. Then I'll turn to the group and say, so it seems like this is more magical than alchemical. This is alchemist fire that did this, but something more in tune with some sort of spell, maybe.
Something I was suspecting after Toro's explanation.
And as you guys are moving about, give me an investigation or perception, depending, and that just depends on what you use, is what the information will give you.
All of us?
Yes. Investigation or perception.
How about that, Ken? A 10 with a +8.
That's like Mark's rolls from last night.
Yeah, man, I was struggle busting all
I
that
did not
night.
mean to click the last one. I hovered.
Okay. 10, 10, 4, 11. Okay, so Merrick, as you're moving about, everybody else is kind of looking and picking up small scraps of wood, and you notice at a distance what look to be lines in the ground, in the stone. You move about and you find one of the pillars and you see the lines also show up there. A set of 3 lines, all parallel, moving down the pillar. And then you look and scour some of the floor, and you see that there are 3 lines, all parallel, moving in one direction, fat from one end, skinny at the other. And you find these a series of other times.
So I definitely call out to the group and say, like, everyone, I found these lines that are parallel to each other that are not anything that I have come across before. I'm not sure what these would be, but they seem very odd and unusual. Has anyone seen any markings like these before?
Let me take a look. And I'll bend down and observe these marks that Merrick found.
Okay. You sort of look at them, and they do look almost claw-like, like they were gouged in. Oriana, you come over, and you sort of take some scrapings, doing the same tests before with your incredibly high alchemist supplies check.
Thank you.
And you drop it into the solution, and you see that within these gouges in the stone and in the wood themselves, the concentration of chemical/magical residue more potent than what's around.
Ooh. So whatever caused these scratches may have been what caused blame. Or maybe been a part of it in some way.
Something with 3 claws that breathes fire.
Dragons, anyone?
I
Or
doubt
some
this was
infernal
a
creature.
dragon.
Potentially something infernal then.
Talandris, give me a general wisdom check, Talandris.
As much as I'm loath to bring up demons, given my heritage.
About the legend of dragons. I've never seen one myself, but aren't they rather large? It seems strange that a dragon could burn a building in a village this size and nobody would see it.
Your wisdom check tells you the same exact thing, Talandris. Being from the city of Castian at the base of the mountains in Terracarasy, which is home to the dragons, you know that there's no possible way dragonfire is this condensed, precise, or that a dragon could get in here, make this sort of ruckus, and get out without anybody on the walls or anybody in the town not hearing it or seeing it.
All the more a mystery.
Do the scratches?
I've never spoken to any of you of my homeland, but I come from an area where dragons are known. I know their tongue, and I can tell you for sure this was no dragon.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Do the scratches form any kind of pattern, or just, like a magical rune or anything like that that might trigger off something?
Go ahead. Go ahead and give me another investigation or perception, your choice. As everybody begins talking about dragons, Jareth, you kind of begin to wander off a little bit and kind of search around.
Glad I could throw the group off with an offhand comment.
Because this is all sort of happening simultaneously. Jareth, you turn around and you kind of walk towards the back of the building. Let's make some room here real quick. You walk off towards the back of the building here, which sort of leads in between these two buildings, and there's sort of like an alleyway that goes off here and then here. And there's a set of steps over here that leads off to a gravel path. And as you stop to look at the steps, you look down and you see that you're stepping on something. And you move back and you see underneath your footprints seem to be a set of boot or shoe prints that have been kind of burnt into the stone. That is a darker shade of black than the rest of the ash and soot that kind of stains everything else. But it's just there. It doesn't show it moving, just 2 footsteps side by side on the back.
I'll call the group over to take a look at it. Perhaps Balthazar might know if you were to cast a spell or something, would it leave a mark like this from the heat you would invoke?
Well, I'll definitely investigate it, but I don't have any type of spell that would help uncover.
Worry not, my friend. The light of Pelor will guide your mind in this, and I will give you some guidance.
What type of
I
magic
always
do you want?
have magic.
Then, since you're investigating this in a spell focus type of way, give me an Arcana check.
Can I help him to give him advantage? I'm proficient with Arcana.
Yes, you can give him advantage.
All right. Here we go. Advantage Arcana check. And then an extra D4 from Toril on top.
Oh,
So
very
25 plus a D4, just for shits and giggles. So a 28.
28's a fucking good check. If you would have rolled that, that would have been a crit. You know that there are spells that you can learn that follow the red wind of fire. That does burn hot enough to be able to leave this mark. And you know that it is possible for the person who cast that spell to not be harmed by that spell, as you yourself are an evoker and have been taught such ways on how to protect yourself and others from your own spell. You're not sure if they cast a fireball in here at an incredibly high level, but you would think that the following explosion from said spell would be devastating. You know that there's a spell that you can shoot off called Agonizar's Scorching Fire, which you can shoot fire out in front of you that burns incredibly hot. But to cast that over and over again would draw attention. But you have never seen footprints burned into the ground in one spot.
So I explained that to the group, adding, that a very powerful evoker, more powerful than even I am, scorched.
Impossible.
Yeah. Scorched this building from this very spot and left this impression behind.
Well, it seems that we have definitely discovered that powerful magic is behind this event. Now that we know that, do we know if there are any groups in the town that might command such magic or have access to that high of a sorcery? Maybe the good sheriff will have some answers for us. Maybe there's like a magician's guild or a sorcerer's conclave or a witcher school, something like that, here in this village that might be behind powerful magics like this.
Agreed, and I'll even keep my my ears and eyes open to see if there's anything I could weasel into.
Ooh, that's a good idea. Perhaps you could mask yourself as a mercenary of fire magic and they might recruit you.
Exactly.
I'm not entirely sure how helpful that might be, considering all the looks we've all been getting.
Yeah, but he could be like a double agent, working both sides. I'm sure with Balthazar's charm, he could talk his way into any group.
He is awfully charismatic.
I think he's not. But I'm just making a joke about it.
Well, I think as well, if this has to do with the elections, our timetable is running a little short to some deep dive into organization like this.
We should probably meet.
Yes, charisma. I thought it was pretty low.
as well. Get a sense of who they are.
I am interested in hearing the debates or speeches that they were mentioning, just to see how each person argues their points.
I'm curious just to see how the public reacts to all this.
Well, maybe we should make it a point to spend some time at a different inn, one where more people gather. Even if we don't stay there and get a room, we could just hang out in the common room and listen to the rumors that spread or what people are talking about.
I did have plans to go to the Ruby Dragon, as I believe I may have met the owner.
Sounds like a good plan.
Start there.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Good idea, Talandris. Maybe we should hide our sheriff's badges as we socialize and mingle so that we don't scare people away from talking to us.
That seems a fair idea.
And then spring it on them at the last moment.
Yeah. You're
No
under
one ever
arrest.
expects the what's this town? The East
No,
Inquisition?
Yeah, nobody expects the Spanish Inquisition.
Regulators, mount up.
Packing up all your things, taking what evidence you feel you need to take, you guys make your way east, sort of asking for directions, and it's easy enough to find. You guys are very super close, and you guys find your way to the Ruby Dragon, which is just up the hill from the Jeweled Cedar in this area here.
It's F, isn't it?
F. You guys look and you see a very finely taken care of 2-story wood-sided building, and it has like the sort of shingles on the outside that make it look like dragon scales on the walls, and they've been dyed sort of glazed like reddish pink that kind of catches the sunlight and goes, and the roof itself is a very finely made slate slanted roof of very fine thin stone. Just the construction of this building alone looks like it took quite a bit of money. Making your way in, you see standing behind the bar a very tall, elegant, severe-faced high elven man. Long auburnish brown hair sort of pulled back into a ponytail, and he's wearing a very nice sort of silk shirt with a very fine leather apron sort of pulled over, and he seems to be polishing what looks to be a couple crystal highball glasses. And he kind of looks up and, please come join us. And you look about, and there's just a couple people sitting about. Talandris, you look and you see the gentleman that you met at the archery table sort of sitting off in a corner table, sipping what looks to be out of a teacup, reading a book, kind of lounging and looking about.
Before I head over to him, I will walk up to the counter to introduce myself to the high elven man that we spotted.
Baladash Malanore,
Baladash.
Escalgalian Talandwir.
I didn't catch that last part that you said.
So with a general sort of high elven greeting, Baladash Malanore, he said, "My name is Gilgalian Talandwir."
Baladash Balador. Talandris Ezraudin.
It is a pleasure to meet one of the islands so far away from home. What brings you here to my humble business?
Well, besides the fact that I heard you were the only other full elf nearby, I felt there was a need to come introduce myself. I'm part of the Blackheart Company.
I heard of them. Ran into a spot of trouble in Haladon, if I remember correctly.
We're part of the revival. We're setting up at Fort Dreckwald, so we're neighbors, I guess you could say.
Well, if there's anything I can get you, drinks or cuisine from the motherland, please let me know.
Thank you, that will be very helpful. I was actually looking for ways to get trade and Ilthamir out this way.
So, if you guys... I'm going to pop up something. All you guys should be able to see it. If you scroll down to the bottom, That is the menu and service options of the Ruby Dragon. Do all of you sort of find a seat as Thalion is speaking with the owner behind the bar there?
Yes, I'll take a seat somewhere.
Balthazar,
If they have a fireplace, I want to sit close to the fire.
There seems to be a large sort of circular open fireplace in the middle of this large sort of communal area. Kind of like an old 60s, like Brady Bunch style stone like fireplace, where there's like a large hood hanging over to the ceiling by what look to be like chains and wires. Kind of like what you would see in like a Viking longhouse with the fire in the middle. And all the tables sort of circulate off from that in very symmetrical patterns.
Balthazar will try to grab a table more secluded off into a corner.
Okay, so you guys, do you distance yourself from the group?
Well, I'm going to try to play the recluse here, looking at my spell book, playing with some fire in my fingertips.
While we're here, do you happen to know of like a group that specializes in magic in Eastrook?
Definitely not in Eastrook. These walls are too far away from any sensible government to protect anyone who openly practices magic in groups. The merest spell out here will have people calling you a witch or warlock. Let's just say that out here, the witch hunters are law.
I've heard whispers of these witch hunters. I do not know
Yes.
much about them.
Arrogant fools who feel that it is their duty to purge magic from this world, and that their evil hides the evil of others. It's a backwards way of thinking, but what can you do? They're a young race.
I see. I can't imagine magic being the enemy. It's what stopped the world from ending.
It's what saves lives. It's what helps crops to grow. But when somebody sees a witch, well, everything's a witch after that.
I guess I'll
But-
have to keep an eye out for these witch hunters.
Please, have a seat. I'll send one of my servers over right away. As you leave Talandris, you look over and you see the gentleman with the teacup and the book sort of leaning back, and you can see him looking at you, like over his teacup, and you see like a smirk sort of form on his lips, then he kind of gives you a nod of acknowledgement.
I give him a nod, and before I head to the group, I'll actually introduce myself properly to him. Baladesh,
A server comes up to everybody at the table as Talandris kind of makes his way over to a lone gentleman sitting off by himself. You see a half-elven woman, black raven hair, sort of pulled back. She's wearing a very sort of nice kind of, it almost looks like, it's like a very cliche, almost looks like a maid outfit, like you guys have walked into like a maid bar in fucking Tokyo. She kind of walks up and, what can I get you all today?
I'll have a water, thank you. And may the
Just,
blessing of Pelor be upon you.
just water.
I'll have one of these. I'm very interested in this rare coffee. What does rare coffee mean?
Well, rare for here. Import of coffee doesn't make it this far north into the Empire.
Well, I'm
Yes,
curious.
water in a pitcher, if you please.
Yeah,
A
water sounds good for me as well. Thank you.
pitcher of water and one cup of coffee.
Callus is going to order some dumplings and a stein of Rose Hill Lager.
Ah, very good choice.
I'm gonna salivate as I watch you eat and drink.
Anything else?
Balthazar calls out. Oh. Balthazar calls out that he would have some tea.
And she's sort of like, 1 second, and she moves over to the table that you chose to sit at. That's like 3 tables away. You can tell that she doesn't want to like raise her voice. Everything here is a very mild, sort of mellow feel of like relaxation. And she sort of comes over. Is there any particular tea that you would like? We have a variety of floral as well as herbal. We have some black tea from Osen.
I kind of huff to the floral idea, and then when she gets to black, I lighten up and go, black will do.
I'll be right back. And then she makes her way back. Somebody was about to say something before the gentleman yelled.
Oh, I was just going to ask Toril if he wanted anything. I know you're short on funds, but, you know, we're all part of the same group. I don't mind getting you breakfast.
I do appreciate your generosity, Oriana, but you have already contributed greatly to the benefit of the group by donating your funds to help produce this, and I hold forth my gleaming, blindingly shiny holy symbol amulet.
I say we order him the eel and make him eat it.
The waitress kind of puts her hands to her mouth and, oh, it's beautiful.
It is. I say it kind of breathlessly. I still, every time I see it, that Tristan up the road there, he does fantastic work.
He is a kind man.
Hey, just as Toril was talking, my mage hand appears and slides up next to him and sets 10 gold pieces next to him, and then my mage hand disappears.
Oh, it seems that Pelor has provided. Look at that! I say a prayer and a blessing to Pelor.
Balthazar laughed really loud at that comment.
Would you look at that? Pelor has seen my need and provided what was necessary. Since I have some gold pieces now, I would happily take what's that? Give me a moment. I'll take a look at this menu and perhaps order something that we at the table can share.
Okay, I'll put in the first order and I'll come back with the drinks.
Well, as you're getting drinks, I'll get I'll try one of the bitter black stouts. Just a mug.
Very good, very good. I don't think they have the bitter black stout here.
Oh, sorry, wrong menu. Sorry.
Yeah, scroll all the way down.
You want to go drinking with the dwarves, don't you?
Yeah, I do actually. That's what I'm used to.
That's the
Do you have
word.
anything? Whatever you have closest to a strong ale, I'll take that.
Okay, so she'll come back and she'll give you one of the Rose Hill lagers. She moves to the back. She puts in the initial orders, and you see her coming back with 2 trays. She sets one down, and she puts a sort of silver ewer full of cold, crisp water, and sets out a couple of glasses.
While she's here setting this down, I point to something on the menu and say, what is crab and lobster and shrimp? I know not what these creatures are. I've never heard of them. How about one of those for the table to share? I would like to try it. I come from a desert, so I have never had crab, lobster, or shrimp.
Well, you can mostly find them in salt water. They grow a lot bigger in the oceans, but we do have freshwater varieties from the river, which we utilize here, using, of course, Master Gogalian's recipes.
Excellent. Well, bring a basket, a hot pot, as it were, of these things, and we will all share them together. And I just slide the 10 gold pieces that Pelor has provided so graciously to her, and tell her thank you.
And you see that she sets out the drinks. She hands Callus and Jareth their steins of longer. And the strange thing is, it's a very sort of clear yellowish, and it's bubbling like champagne would be. And unlike ale, it's served very cold, which is kind of nice. She runs over and she gives the black tea very quickly over to Balthazar, and she moves forward and she kind of claps her hand and she's like, Sven, we need a hot pot, and then coming. And then you see a half boy, same dark hair. He comes out with what looks to be a portable like stove made of stone, sets it in the middle of the table, and then he lights it. And as soon as he lights it, she comes walking out with what looks to be a large clay pot, and she sets it on the table. She begins to pour broth into it, to where Gilgallion walks over, and he sort of holds out his hand and he casts a spell, and you see that the fire sort of burn hotter, and then the broth begins to boil. After following that, she comes out with like freshly cut and prepared shrimp, lobster, crab, and as well as a variety of different spring and summer vegetables. Then he sort of gets set down. Then the other food gets brought out, the dragon dumplings for Callus, sort of set down. And she then begins to show you how to cook and eat hot pot, to where you start putting in the different things and drinking the soup and cooking everything in a sort of communal manner. And it can feed everybody at that table.
Mark, did you say they were out of coffee?
No, she brought your coffee.
Oh, did she? Okay, I wanted to make sure. I was like, man.
Sorry. It's just plain old black coffee.
Oh. That's misleading and disappointing.
Yeah, you take a sip of it, but it's very good. It's not like Folgers, you know what I mean?
Okay, fair enough.
There's like sort of floral fruity notes that you would get from like what's that coffee that comes out of the animal's ass? Like it eats the beans and he poops it. It's like the most popular
That's the
coffee in
rarest.
world.
That's the rarest coffee.
Right? That's kind of the coffee you're
Cereals?
getting. That like, yeah, there's like citrusy notes and it's lemony and it's actually really good black. And if you would probably ask them like, can I put some cream or sugar in this? They'd probably tell you, oh, please don't, like kind of thing.
Okay. Oh.
What is cream and sugar?
Talandris. You sit down and you sort of give him the greeting, and you tell him, you know, Baladash Melanor, and he's like, please, don't start with that crap. I wasn't born there. A good morning would do just fine, and he sort of tips his teacup towards you and kind of takes a sip.
Good morning it is then.
He kind of winks at you as you sit down, and hope I didn't bruise that ego of yours too bad last night.
Bows aren't my specialty. And I kind of just turn my shoulder a little to show the blades. These are.
I'm definitely more of an archer. Hunting is kind of my forte. But when you live so close to the woods, it's just too tempting.
It's understandable. Never did get your name for the person.
Trinovantis.
It's a pleasure to meet you, Trinovantis. I am Talandris.
High elven name for a half elven bastard. When he sort of kind of smiles and he drinks his tea. So, how find you my father?
Ah, so Gagalian's your father.
He is. And as you can tell, I really don't like him, and he doesn't like me.
Why is that?
I'm not one to follow the rules, especially his. He expects me to settle down and take this place over when he dies, which... I don't know. You fuckers live forever, pretty much. Who knows when that'll...
We do live pretty long lives, and I take it he sticks to the old ways.
More or less. I mean, he broke those traditions when he moved here, but escaping the life of a fisherman to come to the mainland here and make his riches, you really can't fault him. But I just wish he wouldn't push those things onto me, if you know what I mean. My heart belongs outside these tall walls. Sort of similar to what you do.
So you wish to be an adventurer?
More or less. Anything's got to be better than sitting here and listening to a bunch of prats speaking about rumors and what barn girl they slept with. And he sort of gives like a derisive frown. Out there, you get to live. What I wouldn't give to take a crack at some of the things that you might have faced. I heard about your little run-in with Cavelian.
Yes, we only recently just learned of his name.
Rumors spreading pretty quickly around the town.
Is that why all the odd looks we've been getting?
It's possible, but this election seems to be driving the people a little bit crazy. Have you met the candidates?
Not of yet. We do aim to. We're trying to find out if there's any ties to these candidates and some of this other mess that's going on.
Ties or not, this town is doomed. If you ask me between a bank and a church, who would you choose? I wouldn't choose any. I choose to pack my things and leave as soon as I could.
Well, with
Why do you
your
feel the
skill-
church is bad?
With your skills, I'm sure the Blackheart Company would welcome it. I can always speak to your father.
You could, but he'd probably ask you to be his son in my stead.
Not so sure of that. The old ways, my brother was the chosen one, so I chose to be a soldier.
He sort of stands up and he kind of claps you on the shoulder. You're not on Karateracy anymore, Talandris. I almost said Thalion. The old ways don't live here. Look at my father. If you excuse me, it's time for me to move about the town. Die of boredom, yet another day. He kind of holds out his hands to shake.
It was a pleasure, and I'll shake his hand.
The pleasure's mine. I hope to see you again here one day. If you excuse me. And he kind of turns and begins to leave, and he kind of nods over at the table of you guys, kind of giving like a brief salute from like his eyebrow, with like two fingers as he moves by, and he just sort of kind of haughtily walks out the front door, not even acknowledging his father.
I'll go join the others at the table. Let them know everything I've learned. As I'm getting ready to sit down, I kind of notice the dumplings that Callus is eating. So how do you like them?
Callus. Those are some spicy fucking dumplings. Just give me a general constitution.
Mark, I have to ask, are they like Asian dumplings or are they like home-style dumplings?
They are Asian style wrapped dumplings, but each one is probably the size of like a baseball. So it's like a very almost large soup dumpling, and inside they're just stuffed with what looks to be steamed like fish, vegetables, and a lot of red chilies. And they're sort of covered in like a chili sauce. Like the dragon dumplings, truly by name, they are straight fire.
That actually sounds pretty good, to be quite honest, right now.
Save or check?
Just give me a general check. This is just to see how much you're sweating and how red your face has got. Yeah, you're showing it, man. This is hot.
It makes the lager taste better.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't know if any of you guys have had like Korean hot pot or anything, but it is delicious. Like with everything that gets added in, the broth gets even more tasty. It sort of warms you to your core, makes you sweat a little bit. Those of you that drank during the fair feel all of it sort of like sweating out of you, like you're sitting in a sauna. You sort of feel revitalized. It's a very good breakfast.
That's quite a good choice you picked there, Callus. Those dumplings are made from my home.
I kind of just like, what?
And if I see the maid come by, I'll kind of just wave her by and be like, I'll have what he has. And some tea.
Any preference?
Surprise me.
She kind of blushes. Okay. And then she turns around and then she moves to the back. Your tea comes out first, and she gives you a very like herbal kind of chamomile flower tea. It's very good, very calming on the nerves. Helps you relax a little bit. And after a while, she comes back out with a fresh set of steamed dumplings. What would you guys like to do now as you're kind of sort of eating and tasting the wares of the Ruby Dragon?
Well, I'm curious if any of our relaxing has let us recover any of our sanity points.
Sadly, no.
I figure I'd ask.
Just to relax harder.
You have, you imagine that it's going to take a lot more than just long resting to get those points back.
So,
A long rest is a chance to daydream, and sometimes daydreams turn into nightmares and terrible visions.
Well, I was talking about with like this situation we find ourselves into, eating around a hot pot, enjoying coffee, stuff like
I
that.
mean, you don't feel the effects of what you experienced like a couple of weeks ago. You feel like for the most part it's kind of been pushed down into your subconscious a little bit, but I mean, there's still times when you're twitching, looking at corners. And that sort of creeping paranoia comes on you a little bit.
Fair enough.
What were you going to say, Toro?
I was going to say, since I'm basically enjoying the food. I assume it's arrived now, the hot pot.
Oh yeah, you guys have been eating it for quite some time.
Yeah, so after I've enjoyed the fare of this, stuff that I have never had before, and reveling on the fact that I had a sugar cloud that just the night before that dissolved in my mouth, which was also extremely good. Thank you, Callus, for providing that. I feel that Pelor has blessed us a great deal, and I want to share that warmth and light with other residents of the inn. So I would like to just go from table to table, offering a blessing from Pelor to each and every person in the inn, if they would have me for just a moment, and then I'll sit down with each group and just kind of introduce myself and ask how long they've lived here, and just kind of be friendly. I'm just going to go mingle.
You sort of catch everybody off guard, and kind of like a door-to-door salesman walking up to somebody's door that just doesn't know how to say no.
Or Jehovah's Witness, Mark. That's what I was going for here. I am the Jehovah's Witness knocking on your door right now.
You sort of sit down, and everybody's like, "Oh, this is unusual," and they kind of like see you, and you manage to get your message to everybody at the table as everybody's sort of drinking up the rest of the soup and kind of relaxing and sipping on their drinks. Yeah, you managed to sort of share some good thoughts. You look behind the bar and you see the owner sort of just smirking and shaking his head a little bit. And he's still sort of polishing glasses and moving about, taking care of chores back there.
So From what I've gathered, not a lot of magic use is used out here. It's viewed as witchcraft. It may be a little harder to track down the source than we may have initially thought.
Well, didn't somebody use magic to cook the food?
That's who I got my knowledge from. That's a different form of, well, he's from the islands I come from. All high elves use
Yeah, so you guys all saw kind of Gilgallion walk over and sort of stoke the fire and get the broth to an immediate boil by using a spell.
Oh, and he's from where you're from? Even more suspicious.
My eyes just kind of narrow at that. As I was saying, there's not a lot of flashy magic used out here because of the way most in this area view it. We may be looking for someone in hiding.
Do we have any idea who would have most to gain from the town hall being burned?
Something tells me it may be tied to those bandits we ran into on the road. With all the information Steger gave us, they seem to be causing a lot of trouble around the town.
Well, they're endearing themselves to the people outside town, and perhaps we were told that the ruffians were causing difficulties for people on both sides, but they were saying they were not the ones hiring them. Perhaps they're a way of causing some kind of chaotic distraction, making people think that the other side is doing that. I don't know.
It seems word has already traveled about our confrontation with them as well. Thanks to Gilgallion's son, who I was speaking with over there. That is why we've been getting such odd looks. Balthazar, do you have any ideas of how you might be able to track down others who are skilled with magic like yourself?
Not exactly. Except for making myself known and hoping they come to me.
I don't know if that's wise to make yourself known as a magic user here.
Yeah, I was told that it might also attract witch hunters. I only know a little about them, but I hear they are troublesome.
Now, his answer about witch hunters came in direction when you said if there were any conclaves or groups of magic users. To which he told you that most people that practice or use magic don't really get together in groups, just because that in itself might draw the attention of witch
No
hunters.
covens.
Oh, so I should have probably specifically asked for just a singular skilled magic user.
I mean, there was one that got your hot pot boiling in an instant. So, like,
He's kind of our only suspect at the moment.
By day, he cooks lobster. By night, he burns town hall. Yep. That's the guy.
I can speak with him. I don't think it would be him, but it's possible I am being biased.
Wasn't there like a message board that we saw?
There's a notice board at the sheriff's office. You remember that there was like some missing persons reports on there. A young girl and like a middle-aged man. Some wanted posters for some bandits, stuff like.
Yeah, so I'll bring that up and I'll say perhaps we could see about looking into some of these, and perhaps it'll lead us to the arsonist.
That is actually surprisingly a good idea.
Let's see. In regards to the arsonist, this is what was on. In regards to the arsonist, that's what was posted. The wording of it suggests that they really have no leads at the moment. And they're looking for really viable information that leads to the arrest.
But we already have some lead information we can get them now. What we've already discovered, we can at least offer that.
Without indicating anyone.
Perhaps they have ideas of who could be skilled enough.
That is a good point. And we could always still keep our eyes out if we find more information. I also think it might be a good idea to go meet the two that are running in this election to run this town. See if that leads us somewhere.
It would probably be a good idea for the Blackhearts to get in either of their good graces.
No, that's true. Since we're setting up a fort nearby, it would be good to meet both of them, offer aid, perhaps make a good impression, since one of them will be ruling this town.
Seems prudent.
You know, that is one thing I wanted to ask the owner is if there's general consensus on who the popular vote has right now, as far as the two candidates.
You call him over, and he does sort of give his opinion. He's, it seems right now, word of mouth and the sort of popular vote is with the High Priestess. If you just count the number of commoner within the walls and outside, they carry the heavy portion of the vote.
Chris has a question, because I might have missed it. What was she a high priestess of? What church? What god?
She is the High Priestess
Of
the
money.
Church of Our Lady of Gold.
Oh my god, okay.
And she is a priestess of Joaquin. You would know that Joaquin is the goddess of good fortune. She's sort of, let's see if I think I had it on here. Yeah, she's the goddess of trade and money. So in places like this, where there's a booming economy and there seems to be striving, they feel that this has the touch of Joaquin's blessing, which is why this sort of town is thriving as such, which is why they have a pretty good following here, other than the regular Church of Lathander that seems to be the kind of empire's main worshipped god.
And the other guy was just somebody with a lot of money, right?
He is Hellenbrecht Grentz. He is a vaultmancer for the Dalen Trust, which is a banking group. So Joaquin is a goddess of wealth and trade, and her most ardent worshippers include shopkeepers trading costers, wealthy merchants, caravan guides, and just all sorts of businesses. But also, she's kind of worshipped. She kind of has two sides to her worship. Though the church focuses on the lawful side, there are smugglers as well as bandits that do sort of pray to her for good fortune and stuff like that as well.
Great.
I don't know. Sometimes I find that money, religion, and politics don't mix well together.
Yeah, when we role played about this earlier, Toro feels that the opposite is true. That the state run by the church is the best option, as the people would have a better moral high ground and be taught by values that are better than what the common folk would teach.
And that's her sort of philosophy that she's running off. Like a house for every person, for everyone here to be treated equally and right. What all of her acolytes are moving about 10th Street, trying to help feed all the homeless that are sort of out there in their tents and their rickety sort of huts that they've had to build because they can't find any place to live inside. So she's kind of the champion of the downtrodden. And while Helen Breck Grants, the Vaultmancer, who is the sort of town treasurer on the council, he's sort of the guy that's running behind the money motto. Jobs for all. More jobs and more workers means more money and good fortune for everyone. But they also, if you remember the conversation that you had with Tristan, they both sort of have their own kind of flaws. Where is it? A lot of people are very scared about a church-run town. They're not quite sure what that would mean for them, like how much money that they would have to give up. It's the whole they're just going to take my taxes away and just give it to people kind of argument. And everybody else is like, well, Grant has helped a lot of people, but there's a lot of people out on 10th Street that owe him a lot of money that have gone into debt by taking, the bank loans and stuff like that. So each one has a positive and each one has a negative. Yeah, one's very socialist and one's very kind of conservative Republican. And to be fair, I wrote this out way before the election season started. It just so happened that we're running this now. So
Those seem to be the political divisions, no matter what world you're in.
yeah, so I wrote this out a long time ago, and we just so happened to pick up the game in 2020. So
When we've seen who wins, let's see how the prognostication works.
you would ask him, he would tell you that you can find the High Priestess at the Church of Joaquin just further up the road, which is the Blue Bee. And the Dalen Trust headquarters is located in the Card Drain Market section, which is this building here, Building C. If you want to meet them, he does notify you that they're going to have another set of speeches in the open air market again later on this afternoon, but there won't be a festival tonight as everybody's preparing for the elections tomorrow morning.
Is there any? And I'll ask the owner of this. Is he aware of any changes in security or what's being done at this new location to prevent a potential another arson from happening?
Well, that's why they decided to hold it in the open air market. There's going to be a lot more open areas to keep an eye out. In all honesty, in my opinion, burning down the town hall must have been some sort of delaying tactic. Somebody burnt it down on purpose to keep the election from happening, as it was supposed to happen 2 days. And the sheriff's sort of apology was telling everybody that they could have a festival. But that's why it's being held tomorrow with a good set of security from the rest of the deputies and some private guards that are coming in from out of town.
I have another concern actually. Maybe not a delaying tactic. Maybe they wanted to relocate to a more open air location. I know you said a lot of security will be there, but it is also in an open area, which also makes it more vulnerable to other attacks. Perhaps they're trying to draw someone out.
Well, yeah, that does lead into my next question. Do you expect a lot of voter turnout, or do you expect that this is an opportunity for people to sort of force their own votes in by making this sort of an open area? Does it make it... Do you think it would make it a little more likely to be fair or unfair?
That's the thing. All of these are unknowns. This is the first time this has ever happened, at least in my knowing, in this country. And as this being a first-time thing, I can probably guarantee that there's going to be quite the voter turnout. This is the first time the peasant population, if you don't mind me using that term, has had a chance to be able to choose who they want to lead them.
I suppose this being a new thing is making it a little confusing to wrap my head around as well. Last question, you said private security. Who is putting the money forth for that? Is it an equal division from the... You may not know this, but is it equal between the church and the bank?
From my understanding, having discussions with the sheriff, is that the bank and the Church of Joaquin are putting in donations to bring in guards from Dire Crest and Wolf Hall.
Well, thank you very much for your time.
My pleasure. Thank you for your business. Will you all be requiring rooms for the night?
That's a good question.
No, we don't. I don't think we're sleeping here, right? We have a place to sleep. We're sleeping at.
We have rooms elsewhere.
Yeah, I think we came here for libations
And to listen to rumors.
Yes, we
And
do
that.
have rooms elsewhere, but I assure you, you'll be seeing me more often.
My doors are always open.
Then I'm assuming don't want to wait entirely for the debates to start to speak with these two potential, or these two candidates. Do we want to go visit them all as a group, or split and see what the party can learn on our own, or what's the plan?
Well, we did find some information. Should we go back and report that and then wait until their speeches later on this evening? Or do you all want to meet them before then and not go to the Steiger yet?
I think giving our information could be good, but it may also be prudent to speak with them beforehand.
Perhaps we shouldn't make our presence known until after their speeches.
I agree with that, but I do definitely want to be there for the speeches. I'm a little worried that this has actually been a tactic to draw them out. People should know that burning down a town hall is not going to stop any kind of voting, and especially someone who can wield such magics. They're more intelligent than that.
I think we may need to be ready to defend either or both candidates.
My concern isn't about defending the candidates, it's more of figuring out... I don't know, it's hard to place either candidate with just the little knowledge that we have. They both seem like they have quite a bit of money, and they both seem that they could be operating with some fashion of greed, no offense to the peoples of Church Toro. We know too little, I feel like.
It sounds like we do need to speak with them individually. Maybe half of us should go speak with this Helen Tress, and the other half should meet the priestess.
That's what I was kind of trying to suggest, is that maybe not as a group, so we don't reveal ourselves as a third party in this, but individually, to get a lay of the land. More so than just rumors and people's opinions.
Well, I would agree to that, and I'll go as the priestess. I'm sure Torel would like to go with me as well.
Yes, I would like to speak to the priestess if that's what we're going to do.
If you both that'd like to accompany you.
I see no problems with that at all.
And then the rest of us go see Banker, Vaultmancer.
Okay, who's going to see Hellenbrecht Grents in the market? And who's going to Our Lady of Gold?
Me, Torel, and Talandris are going to see Our Lady of Gold. You know, we can preface it by saying we're both we're also religious and want to meet her.
Merrick, are you heading up there as well?
I might slip further down to. The Lady of Gold seems interesting, but I'm curious about this banker.
Okay, so you guys, whoops, sorry. You guys will make your way down to the market.
Merrick doesn't want to be judged for past deeds.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to move you guys to the People of Eastrope map here. These are some of the people you've already met. Marissa Greyhall, the deputy, Sheriff Steiger. There is Morgrun Rolfson, the weaponsmith. Here is Tristan Glenn, and the owner of the Fool's Respite, Dasha Sharova. Those of you are closer to the Our Lady of Gold Chapel. Do get there first. You walk closer and you see that there is a very good sort of deputy kind of like patrolman presence on the outside. There are guards actually stationed along the outside. There are acolytes moving about, some carrying baskets that you can smell are laden with food. And some of the guards kind of break off and kind of escort them as they begin to walk around through town. There's like a very hymnal sort of singing coming from the inside. And
Does the chapel or church itself look like a lot of money was spent in building it, or does it seem more humble?
It's actually a very humble building. It looks like a regular old church. You go inside and you see that there are polished wood benches. Nothing about it is opulent. It's not like a church Lathander where they sort of preach artistry, where you see a lot of like you remember walking through like the High Solarium in Dastow, and it was like Baroque, like gaudy, covered in gold and gems and art. This is a very humble building that just preaches sort of good fortune, sort of for all.
Okay, cool. That's actually what I was hoping, because I kind of make a point to Jareth as we're walking up that even though the church values or worships gold in a way, it seems that they don't worship it for the purpose of showing it off.
Hoarded.
They worship it for the right. They worship the gold and the good that it can do by bringing things to people's lives that they need, and perhaps that's a good thing.
That is a good quality, yes.
And as the singing stops, you see standing atop the dais is a woman wearing long emerald green cloak, the hood pulled up, and you see that there are sort of leaf and vine filigrees sort of sewn in. Her blonde hair sort of coming out from the bottom. And you see High Priestess Felicia Surhart.
Oh, she is pretty.
You watch as the people sitting in begin to stand and kind of make their way outside. You see that there is a mix of peasant, middle-class commoner, and also very high-classed kind of noble-ish people kind of moving out and about. Like everybody's sort of rubbing shoulders, nobody like sneering at one another, and everybody kind of just leaving happily as the rest of the acolytes begin to kind of pick up books and pamphlets that have been kind of left on the benches. What do you guys do?
I'll approach like the first acolyte I think I can talk to without interrupting them, and just address them and say that we represent not only the Black Hearts who are going to Fort Dastow, but also we have been commissioned as deputies in this town to help provide security, and just want to know if there was time to speak to the Our Lady of Gold.
If you wish to speak to the goddess, you must do so in prayer. And she's like a very young, probably like 13-year-old girl. Hair is shaved, but she's wearing what seem to be very simple brown robes. Kind of abbot-like.
Oh, I mean, she who represents our High Priestess Felicia.
Oh, well, the High Priestess is always able to take a word should you wish to speak with her. She's quite an open woman. She's just up there putting up some papers if you wish to speak with her. I'm sure she wouldn't mind.
Oh, it's all right for us to go in? Well, thank you. I give her a bow.
She kind of nods and then she begins to keep cleaning up, like giving each of you a nod in turn as you move past.
I'll follow Toril and Jareth's lead.
I guess we'll walk in then.
She sees you approaching. And good fortune to you, those that come seeking the guidance of Our Lady of Gold. What can I do for you? I do not believe I've seen you around.
Greetings, my lady. I am Jareth. I'm actually from Estoc. Silver Lady be with you.
The Lady of the Lake is known to us.
As your lady is known to us. We actually have been commissioned as deputies in this town to provide security and look around, and also we are of the Blackhearts. We are commissioning this Fort Dastow. We were to clear the darkness from it, and now we're beginning to make it our home. Sorry. Yeah. And we just wanted to introduce ourselves and just have some questions, perhaps. We're also investigating the fire that happened at the town hall, and just have, concerns and questions.
A tragedy to burn down a meeting place of the people. We've been working for quite some time to sort of get coin in donations to help rebuild it as soon as we can, but with the craziness of these elections, it's sort of mind-boggling.
For today's speeches, I have probably an odd question. Has there been much talk of security? Have you been able to get security for yourself?
We have the guards with us at all times. When we hand out the donations of food and linen to those living in the 10th Street, they follow us. But we haven't had any sort of trouble, if that's what you're asking.
Well, the reason why I bring it up is because we did some investigations at the town hall, and it may be that it was actually burned down using some form of fire magic.
That was Gilgallian's opinion as well. Have you met him, the owner of the Ruby Dragon?
Did we meet him?
We have.
Yes, we did.
He was very helpful with his information.
When it first happened, Sheriff Steiger called a meeting, both me and my opposition, Hellenbrecht, as well as some others, the priest from the Church of Lathander, as well as Gilgallian. Once Gilgallian had a look at it, he felt that it was something that must have been summoned. For any sort of incantation that can do something of that power, he believed would have been too obvious and too loud. But what was summoned, he was not able to tell. It's a very strange fire, not to touch the buildings around it or to make any sound. You would think the light from such a conflagration would cause quite a stir, yet it did not.
Perhaps it was over in an instant.
It's quite possible. But we pray for guidance, and we pray for answers. Most importantly, we just pray for the people who seem to be the victims of this.
I would just ask just to be cautious today, what strikes me as this is whoever did this obviously knows it wouldn't stop the elections. My concern more is it drawing people out into a less safe environment.
We feel the same. The only conclusion we could have come to was to sort of import some more guards to help tighten up security. You can imagine that any sort of further delay or a cancellation of this election would cause the common people to riot. That in itself would be more of a blow than anything else in this town. We're sort of stuck between a rock and a hard place when it comes to this.
And you know of no enemies or anything about the bandit activity that might want to delay all of this?
It is
Or harm
possible. It is possible that they wish to delay and cause more unrest. That's one of the conclusions that we have came up with as well, but to jump from kidnapping and highway robbery to such acute magical power and devastation, it's a big jump to take. It's hard to fathom. But we wouldn't even be in this mess if the previous count hadn't lost his mind.
What did become of the previous count? Does he have far reaches?
I'm afraid those that know him have distanced themselves quite a bit. We see him every now and then wandering the streets. We try to give him warm clothes. We try to give him food. Before all this happened, he was known as a kind, good leader. When I first met him, he was a kind, good leader. Whatever led him down this path, I do not know. But to flaunt the town's money so and to wash it away with gambling, and it's very odd.
As she's kind of giving us all this information, how is she like appearing to us? Is she sounding sincere? And
I mean, her inflection hasn't changed since you met her. She's just very kind and very open. She's answering your questions as soon as you ask them. She's not holding anything back. You can give me an insight check if you...
okay.
I mean, she's very earnest. You're sort of looking her in the eye when she's speaking to you, and they don't move. They're just sort of locked onto yours. Her tone doesn't change. Just a very sweet voice that's sort of speaking to you, and it's very calming in nature.
Okay. I was going to use that to decide how I was leaning on these elections.
I could use your support. I know that the people, those downtrodden by everything that has happened, would surely benefit from it. We can make this place a haven for all on top of a place of good fortune and trade. With as much money as this town makes, nobody should go hungry, and nobody should lose a roof over their head.
To this, I agree.
As do I. I can say for sure our company will be helpful since we'll be neighbors. So it was good that we came to meet you this day.
If there isn't anything else you need, we are due to make the rounds on 10th Street for our daily donation of food and soup. If you would be so kind as to come watch the speeches and spread your support for me, I would be most grateful, and I know the people would be too. The tales of your group overcoming Cavelian the Collector have been spreading like wildfire through the town. I know the common folk are calling you champions.
We will be there.
And she sort of nods and she kind of takes her leave. After a while, a couple people walk out from the back, and you smell the fresh smell of hot steaming bread. And you see that a couple are holding baskets of bread. There's a couple holding like what seems to be a large pot of soup. Other people are carrying like plates and bowls and fresh linen, and they sort of make their way kind of out in a procession. And they begin to move through town with the guards sort of walking side by side with them to go do their daily sort of donation run.
I'm going to be honest with you both. I do not see anything negative about her, especially if they're going out there to aid those who do not have homes.
I don't either currently, but to be fair, we know nothing about her opponent either and what he's doing for the community. She definitely has my vote currently, but I would require more information to be certain.
And me as well. Should we follow their donations on the way to the speeches? We can do that.
Sure. Yeah, we can at least make sure. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
They could probably use some extra eyes watching their backs.
I agree. And it's what we're best at.
Yes.
As you guys begin to leave the church, you begin to walk back south through the Rosepool Borough, and it is at this time, those of you that were heading towards the Dalen Trust building have entered the east side of Cardrade Market. You see that business is booming. There are people moving from shop to shop and from like vegetable cart to vegetable cart, food carts laden everywhere. The economy here is thriving. And there you see a large stone building. You look up and you see Dalen Trust in gold lettering on the stone. You see some guards posted on side that work for the sheriff, as well as what looks to be private guards wearing what seem to be a lot nicer kind of like breastplates and more polished weapons that look a lot more professional. Kind of standing closer to the doors and inside. You guys make your way in, and you see that the Dalen Trust is in fact a bank. There are a lot of desks as well as booths where people seem to be talking about loans, ways to build houses, starting businesses, things like that. Money is being exchanged, deposited, so on and so forth. What do you guys want to do?
Assuming just walk in and ask a receptionist to see where Helen Brecht Grenz is.
Do you have an appointment? And she kind of pulls out some papers and she's looking over it.
No, but we are just recently moved in. We're part of the Blackheart Company, and we are operating out of Fort Dregvald, and we're hoping to speak with the potential count of this new town. This whole election thing is weird and crazy, and we thought we'd try to figure out who the candidates are and see who our new neighbor might.
And then you hear a voice coming that sort of cuts off the secretary, and she's like, "Well, wait no more. Looking forward to see when you would come see me. The heroes who defeated Cavelian the Collector." And he kind of like pumps his fist a little bit. And you get your first look at Helen Brecht Grenz. He's a very tall, lean man. His hair sort of slicked back, wearing a very nice suit. Handsome. And he looks quite charismatic. And please, if you would follow me, come back to my office. I have some free time. Hold any appointments waiting, if you would. Yes, sir. And he sort of leads you back to his office and contrary to what you saw at the sheriff's office and everything else, this is like a really opulent, like, if he could pull his best Ron Burgundy, like, it smells of mahogany and leather-bound books. Like, like he's definitely got money. Please have a seat. Is there anything I can get you? Drinks, water, something stronger? It's not every day you get to meet heroes.
Oh, water will do. Anybody else?
Water it is. And he sort of gets up and he just grabs a couple glasses and he brings over like a crystal decanter of water and he kind of pours some glasses, lays it out, and he leaves the decanter there. So, what brings you here? Would you like to open up any accounts? I can help you along that matter. We have ways of keeping your money safe, if that's what you're looking for.
I don't know if we're of rank to open up an but say there's a chance that we could always assistance in the future. The fort is seeing better days. Perhaps we could use your help in rebuilding it, but I, again, no position to make those deals. We're here more about the election. The events seem to be surrounding.
Ah, yes. The election's the bane of my existence. To be completely honest, I don't even know how I ended up in them. But now I seem to be one of the favorites to become the new count, which, if you ask me, is quite a surprise.
You say you didn't want to be part of them. Were you picked out of a lottery, or did people just shout your name in the street?
More shout my name in the streets, since I was a part of the town council that served the count, and one of the biggest proponents against him and his ways of mishandling the town's money. As you can imagine, with the count spending everything and anything that he can get his hands on from the town coffers, a lot of people have lost funding and have had to come to us for loans, which have now become defunct. And it's a mess, any way you look at it. People are blaming me now for people out on the street. But I honestly don't know what else I can do. We're coming up towards the decision, just waiting back to hear from our main lot in Wolf Hall to see if we can give just a universal debt forgiveness to cancel out the debts of those. And hopefully we can keep the town on its feet.
That would definitely be a good way to go about it. So I'm curious about this former count. Was he always greedy and a gambler?
I knew Robart for 3 years before I was onto the council. The man loved nothing more than this town and his family. He would do anything for his children and his wife. But to watch him succumb to his depravity, prostitution, gambling, his mind simply unraveled.
That seems very strange. Any idea of what could have caused such a strange turn in this man?
I'm no expert, but you can find his symptoms in just about any drunk you see stumbling in Alley Street late at night. Everybody has their demons, I suppose. Maybe he just couldn't keep fighting his.
I guess for a change in topic to something less, potentially less grim, we came across the fire that happened at the city hall. And it's a very strange thing, as I'm sure you can imagine. Something burning down a singular building out of a block.
Strange and terrible. The community relied on that building. It's where the poor got fed. It's where the children met for schooling. It was a cornerstone of this community. To see it burnt down, I can't explain it. It's a terrible thing. We've been working on putting together donations to send. But right now, everything is kind of tied up in this blasted election. The only thing I can do is put on a strong smile and do my best for the people. And if I get chosen, voted, then I guess I'll just have to put my best foot forward.
Well, are there plans for extra security now that the elections are going to be held out in the open? That seems fairly dangerous.
We've put in a lot of money towards bringing in some private security firms from Dyercrest and Wolf Hall. You can see some stationed here. The sheriff was quite pinched with extra deputies and guards to be sent about, especially with the mess of the earthquake that happened a couple weeks ago and the Knoll attacks up at the lumber camp. So we decided to fund our own security to be able to let the sheriff move about with his guards more freely to help others. We can't afford it, so there's no point in us not being able to do such things. Alleviating the pressure, I guess you can call it.
It's fair. And then regarding your opponent in this race, any thoughts about her, what she's running for? Just general thoughts?
She is a kind woman, but I feel she's running on sugars and dreams. I don't know how she will keep the people funded or how she will build the things she wishes to build without taxing the economy. It's a tightrope to walk. The platform that I chose to run on was bolstering and upping the lumber and mining operations, as well as bolstering the farming, expanding, as you will, to create the jobs for the people that have found themselves on 10th Street. And hopefully with the debt forgiveness, if it comes to that, at least they'll find themselves out of jail.
Well, the last question that I have, I don't know about my... but when we were investigating the hall, it looked as if it burned down some very powerful, very constant magic. Do you know of anybody powerful enough to create something like that, or to cause that much damage, or even somebody powerful enough to supposed to get their hands on magic like that, or first control that?
I've heard rumor that the Crimson King, I don't know if you're familiar with him.
No, not at all.
He seems to be the quote-unquote leader of the Grey Master Brotherhood.
Oh, that guy.
There's quite a bounty on his head. Rumor says he cavorts with all sorts of unsavory folks that might be able to do such things, but I've never experienced or seen anything that can do that to a building and not harm the others around it. I believe it was Master Gogalian of the Ruby Dragon. He believes thoroughly that something was summoned there on that spot, and that any sort of incantation, as he called it, would be too loud and powerful to not go unnoticed in such things. I'm a businessman. This is far beyond my pay grade and knowledge. If anything, maybe the High Priestess would have some sort of knowledge just with...
Well, I know you mentioned the Grey Masked Bandits. What reason would they have to destroy this? I'm just speaking as your level of finance. Wouldn't it make more sense to have a healthy town that they could rob rather than something that they burn to the ground?
Well, banditry serves one purpose. That is to undermine everything that stability is worked for. They do so out of anarchy, to break everything that we've built here, to rule in chaos. This town does not function without order. To break that order, you steal, kidnap, create acts of terrorism.
And if you were made count, would you be able to handle such banditry?
Probably no more than I've been able to handle it now. We could up the pay, be able to train more, deputize more, put people into the town watch, make the pay worth it, but then you ask people to sacrifice their lives. I'm not a military man. I'm a businessman. Money speaks to me. I can make money. Things like this might be outsourced to more worthy individuals like the sheriff. Maybe under my rule, that would happen.
Well, I know having come into contact with bandits once already, we are looking into possibly them further. Not that I bring that up. Mention of pay.
Were you able to find anything out from them? Were you able to track them back to their lair? And he's sort of like, you can see he's really interested. Like, he's talking to people that are living like the sort of stories that he read about or was told when he was a kid. And he's sort of leaning in. Can you tell us how many there were? Were you able to capture any alive and question them? And you can see he's sort of like getting into it right now.
Well, suffice to say, a number of them met a much-deserved end to their time and are now viewing such beautiful dreams. Whatever. Afterlife bandits. There is one that got away on a wolf. Unfortunately, he was too quick to, but the rest are a little too crispy to question.
The one on the wolf, that would be Cavalion the Collector. He is quite... It's not proper to say the words I wish to say about that man. He has caused quite a lot of death and devastation around these parts, and I hope you do catch him.
Well, suffice it to say, I think we are looking to collect on that.
And he sort of touches his nose and he kind of winks at you.
And
But,
in hindsight, we did sort of see which way he tucked tail and ran.
Oh, that is true.
Is this information that you were able to share with the sheriff? I'm sure he would love this information.
We did speak to him, yeah.
Good, good. I know Rissa is quite the capable tracker, and she's been out quite a bit these past days, hopefully staying safe. If there's no further questions, unless you all would like to set up accounts at the bank for safe storage of your money, just note that we have the same technology as most of the major gnomish banks in the cities. We are at your service should you wish to keep your funds safe.
I think it's definitely something to look into. It was a pleasure to meet you, Meister Gren.
It was a pleasure to meet such heroes as yourselves. Please, if you wish to show your support for me, I guess it would be pretty helpful. I believe I'm down in the polls. Of course, it's hard to vote against High Priestess Sewerheart. Have you met her?
We haven't had the privilege.
We have not.
Let's just say for me, it's going to be an uphill battle. Any support, I would welcome. And he sort of stands up. Thank you for your time. Thank you for visiting me. I believe we are set to have some speeches later on this afternoon in the open air market. I'll see you then.
Absolutely, we'll be attending.
And he sort of sees you out, and you guys make your way back out. The bank's still just as busy as ever before. Nobody's social distancing or anything. You guys make your way back out into the market. Where do you guys go?
I guess we go to the sheriff's, because I know the rest of the party had mentioned talking to them about what information we gathered, so potentially we could meet up with, at least that's my line of thought.
Okay.
Sounds as good as any.
After a bit, you guys all find yourselves in front of the sheriff's office. Toral's group makes it there just a little bit before, and you guys are kind of hanging out a little bit. And after a couple minutes, you guys watch as Oriana, Callus, and Merrick, everybody just kind of walks up.
So, Merrick brought up a good point. So did Helen Brecht. That we should tell the sheriff. I don't know if we did. Which direction they ran off in. The bandits fled.
On the wolf.
If I remember the map correctly, you guys are traveling east-west. They would have been, he took off, and then one of the other bandits with the longbows jumped onto the horse, and then they took off going west-southwest.
So yeah, not sure if that's information we gave out, but maybe we should.
If they've never seen them run off before, it may be worthwhile to let them know.
Okay, so you guys make your way in, and you see that Deputy Marissa is at the front desk again, and she's sort of, looks like she's filling out like some sort of report. She sees you guys walk in. Hello again. You guys need to go see Root?
Just have a few updates of some of our findings.
He should just be drinking in his office. Go ahead. I won't stop you. And she kind of goes back to doing
Is that
some
okay
people.
to speak about your boss? Or is it like middle of what time is it right now that he's drinking in his office?
Oh, it's like 2 in the afternoon.
It's
Oh, that's
it's
fair.
beer 30. It's beer 30.
He's day drinking.
I mean,
Any time is beer
everybody
time.
drinks. Yeah, in Europe, everybody drinks. So I think it's fair.
A liquid lunch is faster.
I'll knock before I open the door.
You're very gruff. Come in. You open the door and you look inside and you see the sheriff is just kind of sitting in his chair, kind of leaned back. His head is sort of laid on top. He's just sort of staring at the ceiling, and you see his right hand just has a sort of a lowball glass, and he's kind of swirling around some amber liquid. There's like an open bottle of whiskey sitting on his table. Well, isn't it my newly appointed watchman? How goes the duties?
Interesting town you have here. Not used to all of this myself, but we did find out some information that you might find useful.
No need to be kind. This town is what some would call a shit show. But yes, any information you have would be worth it. Then he sort of sits up a little bit, holds up the bottle. Can I offer anyone a drink?
Cal will accept a drink.
He pours you like a nice 3-fingered pour of whiskey. It's very good stuff. So, what can you tell me?
Well, in our dealings with the bandits, we did happen to notice which way they ran off with the wolf and whatnot. So I don't know if you've seen them scurry away in any sort of battle before, but we might have an idea of which way they went.
And he pulls out the map again, and he kind of lays it out. And you can see the area where you guys showed your attack is still circled in red. But you see some dots that are heading southwest from there. Is that the direction you saw them?
That's close.
When I sent Marissa out with the other 2 scouts, they picked up onto the trail, as well as rescuing some bound and tied up farmers in their farmhouse. We were glad to get them away from there. Scared, but not worse for wear. But we believe that the bandits somehow have a base set up in the Eldermoors, high up on the rocks. We've sent people out, but they are damnably good at covering their tracks. How they get horses and wolves around, we're not quite sure, but right now we're coming up on the consensus that we think a lot of the outer farms are helping and aiding and abetting.
What was the name of the place that he thought they were near?
The Eldermoors. You must have passed them on your way up north. The high hills and crags. Let me put you to the map here. And you can see this area here is the Eldermoors. They're sort of like, think of like Highland, like in Scotland. A lot of bare grass and just stones, cliffs, rocky escarpments. Not quite mountains, but very tall and winding.
I just see white.
Does everybody see it?
I see it.
No,
I
I see the map.
I see the map.
Yeah.
I don't see where we are, but I assume. Oh no, I see our cart now. We're in Eastrook.
You
Yep.
guys are in Eastrook here. Here's Fort Drakwold. And then these are the Eldermoors. And this is the area you guys passed through Wolf Hall. And then the other place he mentioned that there were sort of kind of outsourcing guards is here in Direcrest.
We did also look into that burnt down town hall. We were able to figure out that it was some sort of magical fire that was used. Something akin to a summoning, I think you deduced, Oriana and Balthazar?
Hmm.
Something like that. It seems like that was the consensus of
That's the theory.
Correct.
Yeah, Gil thought the same thing. It's troubling. We have absolutely no leads. Nobody to pin it on, nobody to put it to. I mean, I'm not going to lie. When I first heard the news, powerful magic, I immediately thought it was Gilgallion. But that man wouldn't do anything to hurt his reputation in this town.
Is there no one else that you know of that practices such powerful magic, even with all the witch hunters about?
Just the clerics here. This is a working class town. Lumber workers, miners, quarrymen, smiths, farmers. The closest thing we have to an apothecarist is that crazy gnome that's over in the industrial section, but I don't think you could pay anybody to drink the things he makes.
What about with the bandits? Is there anyone amongst their number who might cast such powerful magics? I mean, the Crimson King is an intimidating name, and you have buildings burning down.
Theory says that he has such power at his command, but it's still just a theory. A game theory.
A theory indeed. We don't even know if the man exists. He lives strictly on rumors spread from the outer farms into town. It's hard to catch these ones alive. If we can get one alive, maybe we can get some real answers. But it
Almost
seems...
sounds like we need bait to draw them out so we can capture one.
And you see him for a second look a little bit guilty as you mentioned that.
Bait.
There's something wrong.
Bait is exactly what I proposed when I suggested we hold the voting out in public and to keep it on track. I'm hoping that with things strategically placed, we might be able to get and arrest any that sort of come. This is a large pot of honey that's sure to draw the flies. That's why I was hoping when you came that you would take me up on my offer, and you did. That I'm thankful for. We need all the capable people we can get.
Well, these mercenaries from Direcrest, are they capable?
Hopefully. They're spending a lot of money to bring them here.
Not that I'm saying it's a bad idea. I think it's too early to hold out judgment, but it is risky.
Incredibly risky. But I've learned that if I never roll the dice, I'm going to be one step behind. At least this way, with a plan in place, with the backing of both the High Priestess and Mr. Grentz.
Does Direcrest see any advantage in which way the election goes?
Direcrest isn't, we're not in their jurisdiction. We are under the rule of Wolfhall and and Duke Valoran. It was his idea for the election in the first place. Eastrook makes Wolfhall a lot of money. The tax revenue alone we sent to the dukedom fills their coffers.
Does he have any opinion about this election? Favored candidate?
He told me to figure it out. And that's what I'm trying to do.
Yeah, that's a pretty dealt.
How far, when is the election?
The elections take place tomorrow at noon. From messages received, the extra guards should be arriving in the morning, just in time for us to be able to set them up, set up the extra security where we need to. My force is thin, very thin, but I think we have a handle on it. Things have been calming down. No riots, no fights. We do have people trying to strong-arm others into voting for who they wish, but unless it leads to violence, there's not much that we can do about it.
Yeah, we've seen a couple cases of the forced voting.
Sounds like our next plan should just be to watch the debate tonight, see if the honeypot attracts any bees, and ensure this election happens without any problems.
Sounds like a plan.
Sounds like a plan.
He holds up his drink. It's like, sounds like a plan. And he just drinks the rest of it in one gulp, kind of sets his glass down, kind of rubs his nose. You can see this man, like his hair is disheveled, like he has bags under his eyes. Like this guy's burning the candle at both ends trying to figure this out. And he's just stressed to the nines. Yes. Glory to your God. I hope he helps me. I hope he helps this town. I don't know what I'm going to do if something goes wrong.
Well, the Blackhearts are nearby to aid you if needed now.
And he's sort
you
of
have a
like,
few in your town.
you hear him sort of like suck in through his teeth at the thought of Wayland being so close to his town. But he sort of nods in acknowledgement to you guys, seeing the work that you've done for him already. I do appreciate you, all of you, for your help. Keep patrolling and see if you can defuse any situations. Tonight, I assume that tensions will be at an all-time high. And tomorrow, hopefully, we can wash our hands of this whole situation. Bring it into account. Get back to business.
Well then, I guess we should go get some rest and prepare for watching this debate.
He puts a cork in his whiskey bottle and he throws it to you, Callus. Take it. I don't need any more.
Praise to you, sir.
You guys move out of the busy sheriff's office. The deputy, Marissa, kind of gives you a wink on your way out. What do you guys want to do? It's probably right now, after you get out of there, is like 3 o'clock in the afternoon. You see a lot of people are kind of filtering towards the open air market area.
I kind of just want to wait for the debate, and I guess I'll talk to the rest of the party about Grant and what he was like. He wanted to do for the town. I figure this is a good opportunity to share information.
How much time do we have till the debate?
I mean, people are filtering into the open air market. You have a feeling that it's going to start soon.
And Talandris will probably just start leading everyone that way if they follow.
Yeah, I was gonna head to the market myself.
You guys make your way there, and echoing, sort of opposing voices begin to kind of filter and get louder the closer you get to the market, and you're like, Grants, 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 Sewer Heart, and people are like sort of chanting for their chosen elected official that they want to win. And you see the crowds are kind of interspersed. Both sides have a smattering of nobility, peasantry, and common working folk. There doesn't seem to be like one side sticking with this guy, one side sticking to here, though you do see that the number of people that are wanting to vote for the High Priestess are louder and more numerous.
Are they split, like the crowd, is it physically split along party lines where there's like the Red Sea in between them?
Yes, and you can see that there's like lines of guards trying to keep people apart, kind of pushing them back, trying to keep like a 5-foot buffer, as there are people that are like getting close and like arguing and pointing and like pushing and shoving, and then some of the guards will come in and like push them back. You see that there's a stage. Beyond the stage are like 2 tents, and you can imagine that both of the candidates are kind of sitting in the tents, just kind of waiting for everything to kick off.
Well then,
Possible. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to ask the party if there's a specific way we want to position ourselves for this.
I think.
Are you guys going to openly? Are you guys going to openly support one or the other?
I don't think we are.
Callus was kind of gonna just like join, like maybe the smiths, the dwarf smiths, and basically just try and blend into the crowd.
You see that there is a smattering of some of the dwarf metal workers that are there, as well as miners and quarrymen, but maybe like a handful. You could tell that a lot of the dwarves would rather work than have to listen to 2 people drone on and on about stuff. They'll probably vote tomorrow, but they don't need to hear their speeches. So you're probably standing with about 10 other dwarves, all mountain dwarves, and then a smattering of halflings and gnomes, all kind of like eagerly awaiting the start. The most vocal of the group are definitely the human compatriots of the town, with a few high elves sprinkled in and out.
Yeah, Callus is gonna like he'll like walk up and he's just like, this is crazy, isn't it? They don't do it like this back home.
It's pretty stupid if you ask me. I really don't get the point of this.
Since she confirmed that they were using them as bait, I kind of do want to stand where I can actually probably offer support to the priestess if I need to.
I was gonna
If I need to get there in a
suggest
pinch, I mean.
some of us watch over the priestess and some of us watch over Helen Breck.
Yeah, I have a teleport that I can use to get me and one other person away from there. So, if need be, I can stand closer to the stage and try to get to one of the. If Jareth will get to the priestess, I can get to Helen.
Is that the teleport that will, like, thunderstrike everybody around you?
Maybe.
Maybe not do that one.
I mean, I'd okay.
It's impressive, but let's not mow down peasants with lightning as we're trying to get to someone.
Let's just get as close as possible. That way, if something does go down, we can intercept and be helpful to either of the candidates.
Wearing your watch badges, you guys are easily sort of let in and move around. You see around the stage are a lot of heavily armored constables, the kind that you saw in the chainmail and the long watch tabards. You see a lot of other sort of deputies and a lot of ranger-like folk sort of stationed up on roofs, kind of looking and scanning about. The more you look around, you see that there is a heavy sort of militaristic type force presence around this. And you see a good 5 or 6 guards stationed at each of the tents. Then you guys sort of step in to fill the ranks. Toril, you look around, and you do see that Tristan has made his way down to listen to the speeches. And he's kind of, he's not really yelling for one of another, but he's sort of looking around with a broad smile on his face, because this is quite exciting.
I would like to make my way over by him and just kind of stay. I'll even wave to him. I'll try to get his attention, let him know that I'm there, and that I will make sure that there's peace and everybody will get to hear both debates or both speeches.
He sees you, and his face is bright. And then something happens that's quite unexpected. You see a very bedraggled-looking gentleman that's just kind of limping. And then he starts, like, he came from the back way in between the tents, and he kind of begins to move up onto the stage. And you see that some of the guards and constables that are there are looking at him more like confused. Like, what the hell is this guy doing? And he sort of gets up there and he begins to kind of wave, and everybody begins to boo, and then they start throwing like shit and rotten fruit at this guy and pelting him. And it does not faze him. He's just waving, and he's like, "People of Eastrook, I welcome you." And he's sort of waving, and everybody's just, "Boo! You fucker!" You know, and they're just like pelting him with anything they can. Like kids are throwing fucking rocks. Like,
Oh my god.
like, it's brutal. Like, nobody fucking likes this guy. And she will reward you. I will lead you. And everybody's like, get the fuck off the stage, you know. And you see some of the guards like get up and they like bodily grab him, more so to kind of save his life from being bludgeoned to death by thrown objects. And they kind of just bring him back and just sort of lean him against the wall. And he's like, "My good men," and he sort of tries to touch them, and they kind of like wince back a little bit because he's dirty and bedraggled. And you guys get your first look at the deposed Count Robart Yarwick. At one time, he was a very regal-looking man, but now you can see like his eyes have sunken in a little bit. He's quite emaciated. His hair, which you could probably imagine was very well taken care of and at one point thick, has become sort of wispy and blotchy. Things fading. His eyes are just overly glassy. He smells heavily of alcohol. And now he smells heavily of rotted fruit and like manure. You will be rewarded. You will all be rewarded. Vote for me. Robert Jorvik. And he's just looking around, like, just blabbering. And everybody's like, fuck, I'm embarrassed for him. Like, that's what everybody looks at. And you see, like, the high priestess, like, she sort of looks out concerned.
Does that look like he's basically drunk?
He's like, right now, yeah, he looks like he's publicly drunk. He looks like he hasn't showered or cleaned himself in quite some time.
I have a question. I'm watching Critical Role. I know that if you like cure disease or whatever, that's a restoration. It cures drunkenness. Does that also work?
Yeah. Do you want to use some lay on hands?
Yeah, I'm gonna use 5 lay on hands to try to clear out his drunkenness so he stops making a spectacle of himself.
You sort of put your hand on his shoulder and you push the light of the lady into his body. You see his eyes unglaze, and he sort of looks to you, and he's like, "No, no," and his lip starts to like tremble, and then he just breaks down crying.
I try to like do a little bit of calming. Just it's not a good time for this, my friend. Perhaps you should.
You hear him like, they left me. What have I done? They left me.
I'll
You dwarf, and he points to you, Callus, because he sees you have a bottle. Please, please. I don't want to see them. Please. What have I done? And he's just breaking down. It's a terrible, ugly, just ugly cry.
I'll try to lead him off to some private area just to like so he can calm down, and then I'll try to come back.
I was curious while everybody was booing him off the stage if I was looking to see if there was like other people who weren't booing.
The only other people that weren't booing and like throwing shit were the dwarves and the gnomes. Some of the dwarves are just like openly laughing. They're like, fucking glad I came for this though. Because it turned into a spectacle. Like all the tension kind of melted away. Like in splitting party lines, the deposed count walking up to the stage kind of unified the village. And for a moment, they forgot about their differences just to pelt their anger at this asshole that sort of ruined the town almost.
Well, if they're going to take him off to talk to him, I think some of us should stay with the other two.
Talandris is staying nearby to still watch the debate and be within reach if something goes wrong.
You see one of the acolytes from the Church of Joaquin come over. If you wish, we can take him back to the chapel. Maybe we could find him a bed, feed him.
That would be great. Thank you.
And you see a couple of the acolytes sort of lead him off. And after the screams of fucking hang him, kill him, like sort of stop, they announce the begin of the speeches. And you see in each turn, I didn't prepare any speeches, guys, sorry. And in each turn, like the high priestess goes first, and you hear her same message about helping all those who are less fortunate. Chipping in to do so. Nobody should go hungry. Everybody should have a home. Together that we can persevere through this, and that is what I will do if I will be chosen. And you see Helen Breck come up and speak about bolstering the economy and creating jobs for everyone that wants to come here, which will not only help them, but help the town grow, help the town become stronger. All that same kind of stuff that you guys heard him speak about again. You see that there are sort of loud boos and loud cheers during both sides of the speeches, but when it's all said and done, nothing happened. the crowd begins to disperse. Everybody begins to move out. Nothing suspicious, nothing major. The guards are still on like high alert, but after a while, both candidates with their sort of entourages of guards and constables sort of make their way back, and nothing happens. What would you guys like to do?
I'd tell the party that I'm kind of interested in talking to Robart Yardwick.
Oh, I am too. Like, who left him? What's going on?
Yeah, absolutely.
So you would know that they left me is referring to his wife and children.
That's what I was starting to think,
As
yeah.
soon as he was deposed, they left him and they went back to their family estate in Direcrest. So his wife and kids left him.
Was a problem.
His wife and kids left him. Like, he... Oh, man. This poor bastard. Like, nobody likes him. You know what I mean? Like, everybody hates him. Like, you could tell that if anybody sees them, they're probably throwing mud or anything they can at him. And he just seems to be, like, sort of... He wants to be constantly drunk. And he seems to be a little bit off of his rocker. His mental stability is not all there, I guess you could say.
I'd still like to hear his side of the story.
He said something about you will be rewarded, or she will reward you.
So you guys are going to go to the Church of Joaquin?
Yeah, well, they took her.
You guys sort of go together up through the main road, just a 10-minute jaunt, and you make your way to the Church of Joaquin. You see the guards and constables sort of stationed around the building. You go inside, the acolytes are moving around, lighting candles. There's some people praying. You sort of ask to be able to speak with the old count, and they lead you to a small sort of very austere room. It's just like a small cot, and you see him kind of laying there in a blanket. He's wearing what looks to be a new kind of plain white dressing gown to sleep in. And he's just sort of huddled in the fetal position, crying in his bed. And like one of the acolytes is sort of sitting on a stool with like a bowl of soup, just kind of looking at him, concerned. And he's just, what have I done? What have I done?
We'd like to know that as well.
I've lost everything. And he kind of looks to you. Everything.
Mr. Yarwick. Hi, I'm Oriana. I know we've just met. This is a highly personal question. We were talking to Hellenbrecht Grin. He said he knew you for quite a long time. Well, I was curious. He spoke very highly of you before, all this came out about you gambling away money. It seemed like there was some sharp change in your life. That
You see his hands are like shaking.
Can I ask what happened to you?
I lost it. Everything. My family. My status. What have I done? Make it stop. What have I done?
Yes, you've lost everything. And whose fault is that, do you think?
And he sort of covers his face with his hands, and you hear him sort of moan out, like pathetically. It's my fault. All my fault.
What is your fault?
The money. I spent all the money. I don't know why, I just did it.
When did it start?
I felt
What first got you doing it?
right. The gambling, the drinking, the women. I lost everything. They've left me.
Do you remember when this started?
Before. It happened before.
Why did you say she will?
But the goddess will help me. She'll reward me. She'll show me the way. And then you see the acolyte like, yes, the goddess will help all those who seek wisdom, who seek her help. As somebody in the room is eating chips.
Oh yeah, I'm just, it's a very interesting conversation.
That's great.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, he sounds incredibly remorseful, but the remorse is coming from a very, very selfish. Everything is I've lost. They've left me. I've lost everything.
I'm not entirely.
I'll put my hand on his shoulder and just say, you may not, yes, be in the best position now, but you have not lost everything. You still have your life, and there's still a chance you can turn things around if you try. And if you wallow in the mud or drink your life into oblivion, you'll never make up for anything.
I don't want to feel I've lost everything.
You can get it back, or at least something back.
And then he just sort of breaks back into his like piteous, like bellowing, wailing, crying. Sort
there
of covering
someone-
his head with his hands.
Was there someone who encouraged you to gamble? Did you meet someone? I mean, there's anything.
It was all a haze. Just a haze. But I want the haze back. I don't want to see. I don't want to feel.
It was one of those
Oh, what have I done?
drunk games where he mirrors bitter when he's drunk.
I've lost him. I've lost them. My boy. He left me.
I nudge Jareth and say, it's possible that he deserved to lose all of these things, and that Pelor is judging him on Earth for the deeds that he has done.
I just feel like no one is above redemption if he tries. I'm just trying to get him to follow that path instead of wallowing here in his tears. I'll turn to the acolytes. Is there a way we can keep him away from drink for a while until he finally breaks his habit of it? I think maybe he just needs some time away from alcohol.
Well,
And I was thinking alcohol might loosen his tongue.
we can't hold him prisoner here. We can just try to make him comfortable, but if he wishes to leave in the morning, then he can. There's not much we can do to force him to stay. With everything he's lost, his free will shouldn't be.
Where does he
agree.
usually live?
You should send him out into the desert. 40 days or so wandering around in the sands would clear his head just right up.
Or the buzzards will do that for him. Where does he usually stay? Does he still stay in his old rundown home, or?
He's been thrown from the manor. We usually find him sleeping where he falls. We try to give him blankets, food. The people are not kind. It's understandable. But we do what we can to help.
I'm also, we should conscript him and force him to join the Blackhearts. He would get no alcohol there.
Are you guys conspiring to have Oriana murder him in an alley?
I'm not.
It's not murder exactly.
It's mercy.
Oh man.
What do you guys like to
I think we should just leave him be for now.
Let's just leave him be for now.
I'm surprised with all the hate that he got from the people in the village. If he passes out in the street, that somebody doesn't just stomp on his head in the curb by themselves.
Well, we saw those chained up on crosses. I think they enjoy seeing him like this.
Next time I will not take away his drunkenness. Maybe we'll have more questions. We can ask him when he's drunk. Maybe he'll be more forthcoming.
Well, I do have a bottle of whiskey.
I don't think the priestesses wanted him getting drunk in this place.
They're no fun.
I'm sure we'll run into him again.
Well, as I said, Pelora protected the speeches. Nobody was hurt. There was no tension or drama. I think that our presence here, it has a calming effect on the people in this town.
Well, I guess we should just look forward to the elections tomorrow to make sure that goes off without a hitch as well.
Okay, so leaving the poor, piteous man to his sort of haunting, non-alcohol fueled dreams, you guys leave the church. It is about nighttime now. It's probably like 7 o'clock at night. The sun's getting low, though it is summertime, so there's still quite a bit of light. So you guys make your way back down towards Crook's Cross. Would you guys just like to go to the inn for the night, or do you guys want to go somewhere else? What do you guys want to do?
If you all don't mind, I can meet you back there. I might meet with Gagalian once more so I can set up some stuff that might aid the Blackhearts later on.
I was gonna go see if my weapon was ready.
You make your way down to the weaponsmith, and your weapon is ready. And you have your Kusarigama that you want.
Nice.
What was that again, Talandris?
Talandris was just gonna meet with Gagalian and start actually setting up some form of trade, see what he's able to actually get from the islands.
I mean, he's able to import at great cost from Marsterdom stuff from the island. What exactly are you trying to see if you can buy from him, or are you trying to see if you can get your own stuff imported? He has no need for a business partner. He is doing quite well.
I was kind of just going to use him since he has ways of doing the import. If I'm having to either buy from him or if he can connect me to a source where I can buy from them.
I can write you a letter, get you in touch with my costers down in Marsterdom. You can make arrangements through them to get things that you need from the homeland if you so wish. I just buy what I need to buy, just to keep it going. Most of the cuisine from the islands is not quite well liked here, though I do feel people are beginning to warm up.
Well, you'll definitely have me as a customer for the foods. Most what I'd like to get imported is metal, Ilthamer.
That is a hefty cost. I'll see what I can do, but it's a rare metal that'll be hard to get in bulk. I can put some feelers out.
Thank you. It was a pleasure. I'll be in touch.
You say you were all stationed out at the old fort in the fields.
Yes, Dreckwald Keep.
I'll let you know when I find something out.
Thank you.
Okay.
And with that, I'll head back to the inn.
You guys make it back to the Fool's Respite. There is food prepared. A very delicious and hearty, but sort of meager mushroom soup filled with like root vegetables. It's kind of like a cream-based stew, but it's very good. Something that you would call like peasant food, but it's very warming, very welcoming. Fresh oat bread, like straight out from the oven, are there. The children are kind of peeking around corners and kind of looking at everybody. As kind of Dasha serves you guys dinner. You guys finish dinner, make up to your beds, go to sleep for the night. I will take that as a yes.
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 Yes, I will sleep.
I thought that was just a statement, sorry.
I tried making the night end with a question mark like Ron Burgundy. Night?
I'd probably stay up a little later practicing with my my new Kusarigama.
Through the window, you guys hear like a whoosh, 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 outside. And you peek and you see that in his left hand, while holding his pickaxe, you see that Callus is out there with his new chain weapon, sort of moving it about his head and like spinning it in patterns around his body. It looks quite more intimidating than the chain was that he just had wrapped around his forearm. And after a while, the practicing stops. Callus makes his way to bed. Morning comes. You guys have a sort of, again, very just meager breakfast of just like vegetable porridge, bread. There's fresh milk and some tea, things like that you guys can have. And already, echoing through the streets, there are sort of loud ruminations and talks in whispers as people are already beginning to flood towards the open air market, and it's probably only 8:30 in the morning.
To go there now to keep an eye on things.
So, is this supposed to happen at a specific time, or is it an all-day thing?
It's the voting is happening at noon, like high noon on the dot. But everybody seems to be already making their way there to kind of get in line to vote. The town is excited.
Okay, so about a half an hour, if we make it that far, just don't forget to let me know when is about a half an hour before noon, because I prepared a different spell, and it tells me what will happen in half an hour, sort of.
Is that augury?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm going to use my tarot cards that I purchased a while back for the first time since I've had the opportunity to. So all you have to tell me as a DM is whether it's weal or woe, essentially, good or bad.
Can
But
you
no
do me a
other
favor?
detail.
Link the full spell. Okay, so you guys get your breakfast, get ready to go. Some of you mentioned that it might be smart of everyone to get there ahead of time and kind of scope the place out, see what's going on. A lot of people agree. Toril is sort of shuffling in his hand a set of colorful cards with different sets of images on them. He has a very excited, boyish look on his face. This is the first time he gets to use it. And you guys make your way out through the bustling streets, and you see that people are flooding. This isn't just the people that were there yesterday. You see that the entire industrial area is sort of shut down. Some of the forges are going, but everybody's starting to move in and kind of get in line. You see that the dwarves and the gnomes and the halflings kind of made it there first, knowing that they can just vote and then get back to work and kind of get over everything while everybody else is kind of just like excitedly speaking. What would you guys like to do?
I'm just try to keep an eye out and see if anything looks suspicious at all, or
Are either of the candidates standing nearby, or is this just like just the box or something where they're doing their votes and putting the votes in?
You see there's a platform, and there are 2 ballot boxes. You can imagine that one is for one and one is for the other. But the, what do you call it? But the candidates are not there right now. You see that there's a bunch of like guards and constables kind of milling around and walking. You do see what seem to be some differently armored individuals. There's a group sort of down by the main gate. They have like fur-lined cloaks, and they're wearing like really nice polished steel armor. You see a couple more like mercenary type like people moving about, dressed kind of in the way that caravan guards were, that you guys sort of rode up with.
Balthazar is going to position himself near the ballot boxes just to keep an eye and make sure that nobody tries to, mess with them.
Okay.
Solange is just gonna circle through the crowd, keeping an eye out, watching to see if he notices any familiar tattoos on anyone if they're sleeveless.
Okay.
Merrick will kind of keep an eye on the outskirts towards the edges of the walls to see if there's anything going on.
I'm going to keep an eye out too, but when the priestess comes, I plan on getting again in a position where I can help if needed.
Callus will probably be on the opposite side of the crowd from Talandris.
So you guys are all going to spread out away from each other.
Yes, we are going to completely split the party.
Okay.
I want to kind of wander through the crowd and keep an eye out either on people carrying any spellbooks or on any tables or any of these voting boxes, any potentially magical glyphs or something.
Okay. So you're going to go and inspect the boxes right now. You'll have to get on stage to be able to like properly inspect and look at them.
That's fine. I figure I can vote, quote unquote, and check one of them out, at the very least.
Okay, so you walk up there, kind of flashing your constable badge or your watch badge, and then you like walk up and you take a peek. Just go ahead and give me an investigation check.
All right. Oh, no.
I mean, you look and you see clearly written in like Old Common, High Priestess Surhart, Herr Grentz. And there's just an open slot, and you kind of look over the wood, and they look like your basic everyday, like this is their equivalent of a metal postal service bin that you would dump mail into. And
Does she open them and check the insides?
You cannot open them unless you pick the lock.
I'm not going to try to open it. I'm just going to turn around and look at the people around me and say, all right, you're good, and walk away.
And you see Balthazar just kind of sitting on some stone steps behind there, sort of taking a peek and looking around. Some other guards are kind of stationed off in the distance.
Yeah, I'll keep sort of to near the stage.
Okay. Are you going to be by Balthazar or just hanging on one side of the stage?
I'll be near Balthazar.
More toward. Oh, so you're going to be on the back of the stage by Balthazar? Okay.
Well, I didn't realize he was at the back. I'll stay towards the front.
Okay, so the front of the stage. Okay. And everybody is getting into queue lines. It's sort of like a zigzagging queue line that they've kind of set up. People facing the direction like you would like at a theme park. You're like staying within the white lines, and everything's pretty busy. Everything is incredibly loud, with everybody kind of talking, and time just sort of goes on by as you guys kind of make your way around, stationed yourselves in and out. 9 o'clock passes, 10 o'clock passes, and 12 o'clock. And you hear some people begin to cheer as one by one some people begin to move up towards the ballots, and you see that they have paper in their hands already, and they drop them into different boxes. You see 2 people right away drop it into the high priestesses. You see 2 people drop it into Grents, and 1 here, 2 there, 1 here, 3 there. Just back and forth as people begin to move in a pretty orderly fashion. And before you know it, all the dwarves and the gnomes and the halflings are done, and the human and half-elf contingent now begins to move about. Oh, fuck! I'm so sorry, Ken. I completely forgot. Around 11:30, you sort of set off by the grass, and you begin to shuffle, and you begin to lay out your cards. Do you need to make any sort of checks?
No, I just receive an omen from an otherworldly entity that tells me whether it's weal or woe, or weal and woe.
You look, and the first card you draw is the 3 of Swords. From your studying, you know that this is bad. Rejection, sadness, heartbreak, betrayal. You sort of lick your lips as your mouth kind of goes dry, and then you pull the Tower. You look at the card and you see that there is a stone tower on fire as people are being pushed and thrown off. Another bad omen. The last card you pull is Death. You know this to be woe.
Excellent. So, my heart starts to race a bit as I feel that Pelor is possibly giving me a warning of something bad about to happen. So I will quickly put my cards away and rush over to Jareth with my sword on my sword hilt, with a worried look on my face. And then you can do the rest of the voting's all going on. But I am
Okay.
I'm basically on alert that something bad might happen.
Through that time, you sort of ran over there and everybody begins to vote again, and now the human contingent begins to walk up. And it's not so much a secret vote, it's just people openly putting their ballots on who they sort of serve or want to be the next count.
When real quick, when he comes to me all worried, I'm gonna take my leave and try to. We assume the priestess is going to be in her chapel, right?
Yeah, they're not here.
I want to go make sure she's okay.
Okay. Start leaving the
I'm not
market.
gonna go with
Gonna
him.
head north.
Yeah, I'll separate a little bit to make sure she's okay. Yeah.
Okay. Jareth begins to walk off. It's about 1 o'clock now. The dwarves and everybody else were pretty fast, only taking half an hour. 1 o'clock now. Jareth, you begin to pass Crook's Cross and you begin to walk north. 1:30. 2 o'clock. There's still a lot of people in line. 3:30. Jareth, you make it up to the chapel. You see that there are guards set up outside. You go inside, and they let you in. You see that the acolytes are there praying with the high priestess. She is safe, guards stationed outside. And it is about this time that those of you inside the square begin to hear screams. There is a voice screaming louder than the others. "She will reward me!" As a cloaked individual sort of stands up, and in his hand there is a large red gem, probably the size of like a volleyball, and it's glowing. Oriana, through the press, since you're closest, you see that it is Robert Yarwick.
How far away from me is he?
He is through the press of people beginning to move and scream 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30 feet away from you. As he holds up this gem, and he's beginning to move his arm like he's going to throw it into the
Are there
ground.
people near him? Like within
Oh,
10
there's people everywhere.
Fuck.
Like he is in the middle of the voting lines.
I wanted to try to
Do we all see him?
Balthazar could not. He's on the backside.
Oh,
You, Callus, can see a hand and a jewel up in the air, sort of glowing. The rest of you can see that as well. Toril, Merrick, and Talandris.
I don't think I can rush.
But there are people sort of running and scattering, and he starts to drop his hand, and he's going to throw the jewel into the ground. And upon detonation, Oriana, I need a dexterity saving.
Oh, fuck. I wanted to try to do something before he dropped it.
As
I
she,
was totally
as he-
I was waiting for you to say something.
Well, I was trying to ask if he was near anybody because I wanted to, but there were too many people nearby. I don't think I would make it through the crowd.
It's the scene from the terrorist movies where like they're in a packed subway line and the guy fucking opens his coat and there's a bomb and then everybody tries to scatter away from him at the same time. That's kind of what you're experiencing. There's waves of people pushing out all directions and they're running for their life.
Yeah, I don't think I'd be able to do what I wanted to do anyway.
would I
Okay.
be able to react, or am I just not close enough?
You're back behind with your height. You can't see past the balcony, so you can try to move to either side. But by the time you get to where you need to see, that thing is dropping.
Am I close enough?
Yeah, all of you guys are. You guys will have to try to move through the press of people if you're going to react when he lifts his arm up.
Oh, do we still have a chance to...
Yeah, so let's
I'd
do
like to
this.
try to stop him.
I have a quick question. It took me 3 hours to get to check on her and get back.
Yeah, because you said you were going to go check on her. You didn't say you were going to walk. You're walking back, right?
Well, I said I was going to check on her, but it takes 2 hours to get there and back. To warn her and then come back, it takes 3 hours to do that, and across the
No.
town.
You left a half an hour before noon,
Yeah.
right? Because I went there a half an hour
Yeah.
before noon to tell you that there was something scary going to happen, and you
I
left.
just want.
So
Yeah, I just want to check and verify that she's okay.
Are
to
you
come
even-
back.
I don't know if you're even back by the time this is going down yet.
It's 3.5 hours later.
How big is the town?
It's a pretty big town, I think.
I'm not taking a stroll, that's for sure.
So you're sprinting up there?
Yeah, I would have ran to see if she's okay, and then if she's okay, then I would.
And then you're going to run back?
Yeah, I'll run back. Yeah.
Okay, give me a constitution check.
Being the limpy guy that you are. Oh, wow.
Okay.
Well, that's
So, fully dressed in your armor, sprinting, it's a mile up and back down. So you sprinted a mile. You make it back in pretty good fashion, not fatigued. But once this is all happening, you're on the outskirts right now of where the market is.
Okay.
So let's.
So him lifting the stone is triggering initiative essentially, and we just
Yeah,
have to
because
see before he does something.
everybody wants to try to react. So we are going to
Yeah, that's fair.
roll initiative, and then I'm going to roll a d20 and see what happens.
Oh my god!
Do we need to select our characters, or don't worry, Ariane, I'll probably get a zoom.
No, just
You-
roll.
Fuck.
Oh, hey, I actually got the best score I can get.
I am so mad about this.
So Merrick, Jareth,
Yeah.
Callus, and Toril can all react.
Shit.
Just note that you guys, if you try to move closer, you're fighting through a group of people running the other direction. So this is like difficult terrain.
I'm pretty nimble.
So, Mark, basically only those four are going to get to react before this blast goes off.
Yes.
Just so I okay. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, Mark got a 10 in initiative, so essentially anybody who beat that gets to do something. We're reacting to him raising the gem in the
He raises the 10. He raises the gem up, and then now you four get to react. So, Merrick, what are you going to do? You are currently about 30 feet away.
That's my movement.
With the people moving away from you. Are you going to try to move forward? If you do, I need a strength check.
Ooh. Not bad.
Okay. You can go ahead and move forward with regular difficult terrain.
Okay, so difficult terrain is what, half speed?
It costs twice your movement to move forward. So tell me how you're moving forward and what are you going to try to do to stop him?
I think my movement is 30, so I'd have to run to have that, right?
Okay, so you're sprinting forward 15 feet. Okay. You're moving closer, like pushing people out of the way, and you see his hand in the air. You watch as Oriana is sort of looking over, and you just see as you're sort of glancing around, you see everybody else sort of looking on the outside. As the regular guards and the mercenaries are kind of getting pushed by the wash of people. And you see him through the crowd now, probably 15 feet away from you.
Okay, I think I want to try and keep the gem from touching the ground. So whether that means pressing it between him and myself or rolling him on top of it with his cloak, I think I want to try and keep him from getting it to the ground.
Is it still in his hands, basically? He hasn't dropped it yet?
It's still in his hands. Okay, so you're going to try to grapple him?
Yeah, I think grab.
Okay, so you're going to use your strength and athletics versus probably his dexterity.
Sure I can't use my dexterity?
Nope, you can't nimbly grab somebody.
Ooh.
Okay, and he's going to try to get away. You know what? Yeah, we'll see what happens. He's only got a +1 dex, so here we go.
Oh my goodness!
You sort of bear hug him, and then you grab his arm, keeping it aloft, and you see him. That's the end of your turn. Who is next after the 22 was Toril.
I was so glad that
No, Jareth. Jareth, you're at the edge of the market. You're currently probably like 60 feet away from the middle where this is all happening.
So he's 60 feet away from me?
Yeah.
Second, sorry.
Merrick, Jareth, Toril, Callus. Merrick, Jareth, Toril, Callus. The only reason Jaren went first is because he actually nat 20'd that.
I'm going to cast that and yell stop to him.
Okay. What is it?
Wisdom.
Target must succeed wisdom saving throw. Four.
Jeez.
He stops. He's not moving.
I'll try to get as close as I can. I don't know how far I can get, but I'll try to get as close as I can.
15 feet of movement against the press of people because you used your
Okay,
actions.
I'll move 15 feet of movement then.
5, 10.
And I'll yell, as a free action, I'll yell at people to move so I get closer to him.
right, so he's being grappled by Merrick. He's being commanded to stop with the Benny Gesserit witch's fucking voice right now. Yeah, so, I mean, I guess I can still cast my spell. I'll do it anyway. It lasts more than one round. Chris's spell only lasts one round.
Yeah, mine's
so.
one round. Just trying to give some time.
Yeah, no, he's frozen.
Just stacking things on him.
So I will raise my hand and clench my fist, grabbing my holy symbol and command him to also remain still, and it freezes him in paralyzation
He is
for
frozen.
up to a minute, as long as I maintain concentration. So, and it works up to 60 feet away, so I think I was within 30, 40 feet. So I won't try to push against the throng of the crowd. I will just stay there with my eyes closed and focus on holding him in place.
Okay. Callus.
Well, it looks like the party has that under control, so I'm going to be crowd control, and I'm going to try and get people more coordinated and get them out of there as fast as possible.
Give me a charisma check.
Okay.
Ooh.
You managed to sort of calm some people down and get them out in a more orderly fashion.
I've had some experience with this.
We did
Crowd?
two.
The crowd has dispersed from the middle. He cannot move. He's sort of crying and looking up, whispering sort of fervently. Merrick, she was going to reward me. She was going to reward me. She was going to reward me. And you guys managed to go in and stop him from dropping this thing on the ground.
If I can.
Lily, fighting through the press, you look in and you see a ragtag bunch of individuals that seem to have stopped someone from causing a ruckus.
Another person.
Well, you guys seem to have done a great job here.
No, sorry, we need to clear this area out. You need to go back to your homes. This area is secure.
I am going to leave him frozen until the gem is removed from his hands. I'm going to actually call out. Can you remove the globe, the gem?
That's what I was want to do is go up to try to take it in his hand.
Yeah, I'm the same as if I'm grabbing.
Yeah, so I can hold this for up to a minute. So, just keep pushing through the crowd and see if you can get.
Yeah, I'll
You
keep pushing
require
through too.
any assistance?
Nope. Nope, we're good. Move along, move along.
Nothing to see here.
See, this is what
I'm-
happens when you hold elections.
Mark, do I have one of those badges?
No, you just got into town.
Okay.
Trying to find the picture here.
Pelor has given us all the assistance we required. Thank you. You may be on your way now.
You guys are no fun. What sucks is you guys aren't even going to get close to the experience you're going to get from this. So here you go. Here's the map. Everybody's kind of set up. Here you see sort of Yarwick frozen in the middle. Oriana sort of bracing herself, against as everybody begins to kind of move forward to try to remove the gem from said individual. Lily, you're down at the bottom.
We get like less experience because we saved the town.
You guys didn't get to do the fun fight I had planned.
We can still poke him.
Well, hey, you guys, last night you guys ran from my fun fight.
Merrick, just knock the gem out of his hand and let it smash on the ground anyway. Just kidding.
Let's take it to a controlled area and do it.
Merrick, you reach up and you grab the gem, and you see him still frozen there, like his hand up, as Toro walks forward, concentrating on his whole person.
Mark, am I able to see the gem from this distance?
From this distance, you see them remove the gem from this person's hands. It's like the size of a volleyball. It's big. It's very roughly cut, and it seems to be shimmering with light.
Can I perhaps, I don't know, be able to determine what that is?
If you get up close to it and check, if they let you.
I'm going to line back Lily, and I'm just like, nope.
Yeah, Chris, do you want to describe yourself? We don't have any idea what you look like, who you are, what you're here for. You just said, do you need any help? We haven't needed any help from anybody so far. You look a lot like Karsadi, though.
There's a reason for that.
So go ahead and describe your character as you move closer.
She has short, shoulder-length blonde hair. She's wielding a shield with the symbol of Tyr on it. She's wearing a chainmail shirt. She's very much dressed like a paladin, a soldier, and everything like that. And she, like Mark says, she just got into town and she sees trouble and she's just wanting to offer her assistance.
Callus will put a hand on her, and he's just like, no, we got it. Thank you. You can move along now. Nothing to see here.
Toro, can he speak while he's like this?
I believe that he is paralyzed and incapacitated, so he can only speak in like stutter. But I can release him. If you got the gem out of his hands, I can just end concentration.
Can you grab onto him? I'll hold on to him, and then we can maybe talk to him.
Don't need to hold him anymore.
So in case he tries to run away.
Well, I can also cast it 2 more times if I need to, if he tries to run away.
I need a...
I mean, you release the spell, he just kind of crumples to the ground.
Yeah, that's fair.
Jareth kind of grabs him by the back of his neck. You feel little to no resistance. He's just kind of sobbing.
Who was going to reward you?
And what was that?
And he keeps saying the same thing over and over again. She was going to reward me. She was going to reward me. She was going to reward me. She was going to reward me.
What was the name of the demon lady whose statue we destroyed in Deathstown?
Talk about that Mistress of Blood, or that we dealt
Yeah, what was her name?
The Crimson Daughter?
I thought we got another name besides that. We not.
I don't recall.
Mark, did we get another name beyond?
No, you remember her clearly referred to as the Crimson Daughter. There was the madam of the Desert Rose was like the only other person you guys really talked to. But
You never
we
got a
don't
name,
know
yeah.
if the name she even gave Talandris was the right name.
Then I'll just ask Robart, who told you? Was it the Crimson Daughter, somebody she worked for? Or worked
And he's
for her?
he's just babbling the same thing over and over again. She's
That
gonna
doesn't
roll.
change anything.
Where were you going to
It
meet
doesn't
her?
change anything.
How was she going to reward you? Where were you going to meet her?
The same thing, babbling over and over and over again.
Mark, I want to use my divine sense and see if I could get anything picking up from that orb.
The orb does not give off anything celestial, fiendish, or undead.
Okay.
While she's doing her divine sense, Callus like waves in front of her face and it's like, "Hello, down here. You're not welcome here. You could leave."
Does Merrick have the gem?
Yes.
Balthazar approaches Merrick and asks if he could inspect the gem.
Yes, for sure.
And I want to, while they're questioning the guy, I want to cast Identify and see if I can learn anything from it.
Okay. Inside the gem is trapped a very volatile spirit of fire. And that it is simply encased inside. You think cracking this or weakening the outer shell would release said volatile fire spirit. You're sort of holding like a live bomb in your hand.
And just to make sure there's no like engravings, you know how they say that, you know, the bomber puts a signature. Is there any?
It's just crystalline glass.
Okay. So I explained to the group that there's a fire spirit inside here that would erupt upon breaking of this gem. Very powerful magic conjured this up.
We should take him to the sheriff then.
Hit him in this gem, yes.
You guys sort of pick him up, put his hands behind his back. Balthazar gingerly holding the gem in his hands. The market square is completely empty. Some of the guards are sort of funneling people through and setting up in defensive positions. But you guys have defused said bomb. And you guys begin to make your way to the sheriff's office. And I think we're just going to leave off there tonight. Sorry. Chris.
So as the party is walking by, Callus is like getting in between Lily and the party, and he's just like, "Yes, I appreciate what you're doing. I know you're trying to help, but we don't need any of your help. You can go about your day. Bye."
So, I was just joking, by the way, about the experience. For finding a way to save life and disarming the situation, everybody gets 450 XP apiece.
She.
I hate that. I don't care if it does that include me? I mean, I don't know if you are including me. If not, no problem at all. I didn't do jack shit. I'm just saying. I have no problem.
I was hoping that the combat encounter would have introduced you, but I couldn't stop people from wanting to do what they wanted to do because it was a really good idea. So kudos to you guys that got to react. And the dice definitely fell in all of your guys' way tonight, which was fantastic. So I can't fault you for that, but the fight would have been pretty fun. I think you guys would have liked it.
You can go out in the field and break it.
What do you mean? I'm going to keep it.
Or
It was a
use that.
bomb.
Throw that in a room and close the door.
Write that up as a magic item, Mark. I'm going to keep it on my character and use it. Break glass when needed.
That's not how this thing works. So just prepare yourself.
That's not a good idea. Like, he'll have you fall on your butt during a fight, and it'll probably break in your pocket, and then we'll have that too.
100%.
No, we're giving this away. I'm not keeping a bomb in your pocket.
So we're gonna sell the nuke to the nearest merchant.
The dwarf.
Well, Mark, the true test is whether or not Lugozo can roleplay a character that doesn't come off as a dick. If he can do
This is
that,
not Sally.
You can't let Sally like taint everything.
No,
he's doing.
I'll take Lily at face value, but yeah, so far the only line he's used is, "Did you guys need some help?" So we'll see how Lily comes off. I'm gonna judge each of Chris's characters on the merits of how he roleplays them.
Okay.
Well, hey, he role plays pretty good. It's just that the characters hate him.
Well, I don't automatically hate Lily yet. I liked Karsati. I think he did a really good job role-playing her.
Yeah, this is supposed to be Karsati's daughter, and if you guys get to know, she will go over her backstory.
No thanks. We don't need her. We've got a paladin.
We do have a paladin. That's why I'm kind of interested to see how the two paladins compete. Kind of paladin.
That is if I let her join the party.
She is kind of hot, so I'm waiting for Toril to bang her. So
She's 20 years old, and no.
She's Toril's age. Toril just is older because he saw a ghost. But yeah, we're in the same.
Well, Jareth is 18 years old, so there you go. Two paladins.
To be fair, Chris, you can say she would have no attraction to Toril, but in reality, she probably would.
Well, we'll just see how Toril role plays with Lily.
They're both religious. They're both combative, like warriors. They have a lot in common.
I don't know, I just like how there's an able-bodied armored person willing to help, while Callus knows you guys are recruiting, looking for able-bodied people that can fight, and he's like, "Well, it's Chris's character. Nope, stay back, go away. We don't need you." So,
well, right now, I just assume that she's just part of the crowd, and she doesn't have a badge, so she doesn't have authority. I'm just saying, everybody who I don't know gets out because they're all suspect.
Yeah, we'll have to see how that role play works. Because I would overrule Callus if she came up acting like she was a warrior. I would say, why would you? She doesn't look like a regular townsfolk. She looks like frickin' Jareth.
she's still wearing like her traveling pack and like a traveling cloak. Like she legit looks like she just arrived a little bit earlier.
We picked up a thief hanging out on our cart on the way here. So if we don't let the armored woman with a obvious religious background into the group, I would be a little suspect about who Callus trusts.
Well, just think. Some person fully armored goes, "Can I help with this bomb you guys just found?"
Yeah, not
I'm
the
definitely
guy is-
saying we question
The
her.
guy's literally saying that he's doing this for some female, and then she's like, "Let me in, let me in."
She's not being pushy. She just wants to help. She's not going to push back and say I'm authority. But if she'll go, okay, just trying to help, and she'll go get a hotel.
Yeah, like right now, I'm just like, this is like not a good time.
Ooh, a reward. Sure, I like the sound of that.
I mean, you guys saved the townsfolk. You guys
Hell yeah.
salvaged the balloting. As soon as everything calms down, they're probably going to bring everybody back in to finish the vote. So you're going to ingratiate yourself to quite a few people. So As for ingratiating the Black Hearts to Eastrook, I think you guys have been doing a pretty bang up fucking job. So,
Nice.
minus the guard slaughtering on the road.
Well, we gotta make up for that.
Slaughtering is a very harsh word. I would say relieving from his mortal coil. He was in pain.
It was more than one. Well, it was just
Yeah,
one.
so there was literally two outcomes to this fight when I designed it. One was the outright fight, and then the other one was if you guys were able to defuse the situation, which you guys did. And yeah, Chris joined because he was interested in playing, and this was already designed before he joined, and I figured that I didn't want to be like, well, he drops the bomb anyways, and you guys fight, because then you guys would be like, oh, that's bullshit. I could have did something, you know. So either way, I wanted to give you guys the choice to do it. Then you guys did it. You guys did it brilliantly, and it happened, and everybody got saving XP. So I think it was 450 for this session, and then you guys got 150 roleplay XP for the previous.
Yep.
I didn't add that. Let me add that.
Okay. That was on there. I posted that when I posted the previous notes from the session. And now you guys have the aftermath of this situation. Trying to see if you can get any sort of answers from this seemingly crazy individual.
I'll take him back to his house.
Also has this strange kind of crystalline, shimmering ball that's kind of just in Balthazar's hands. That all you know right now, it just has a fire spirit with it. So, yeah.
Mark, just out of here, is it commonly known that the Black Hearts are recruiting?
In the general sense, yes, because everybody knew that they fell. Everybody knew that the old commander was, expunged of all charges laid against him, and that all the wrongdoing was not their fault, but there's still sort of a taint. But there's definitely rumor going about, spread by tradesmen about the deeds that they did in Dastow to sort of help save the city from the undead rising. But there were other cities that were struggling as well during that time that had their own sort of problems to deal with during the eclipse. But people do know that they're recruiting, trying to build up their base again, and their sort of good fortune is being spread far and wide through tale of traveling merchants and bards.
Okay.
Mark, I do have one quick question. Since this was technically kind of a combat encounter, do I lose my point of inspiration in this one?
No, absolutely not.
Okay, cool, thanks. Because we did kind of...
It's only like a straight, drawn-out combat encounter, because that'd be kind of lame. It's like, hey,
thank you. I appreciate that, because I do want to use it. I have an idea to use it. I
feel like a dick from like, you guys did really cool stuff. Get rid of your inspiration points.
No, I'm also happy that I got to do the augury spell, and you did a really great job explaining how it turned out. That was fantastic. I might have to do that more often to test your knowledge of tarot cards.
You've had no idea how fast I had to Google terrible tarot cards.
Nice.
while talking into the microphone at the same time. And I was like, I found like a Pinterest article. It's like 3 tarot cards you don't want to see. And I was like, oh, sweet. Okay.
Awesome. I love it.
I was like, these are all shitty. I'll use these. So, yeah. You guys set yourselves up for some really cool shit, so congratulations. Yeah, that was pretty awesome. So
that was fun. I got my Gnomish Lantern too.
I'm actually very, very curious where you guys are going to end up going, which is going to be super fun. I've got a lot of irons in the fire, so it should be pretty cool, and I hope you guys are kind of excited, whichever route you guys take.
Real quick, because I might have missed it. What happened to his house?
It's still there. He was thrown out of it when he was deposed, and he's just been sort of vagrant, roaming the
I
streets
totally wa-
since then.
I totally want to yank his ass back there and do some interrogation and exploring.
Okay, so you guys are not going to go to the sheriff's? You're going to take him straight to the manor next
Oh
time?
no, I'm just throwing out ideas. I don't know yet what we want to do.
We should take him straight to the sheriff's.
The sheriff's
I can
first.
just kill him right here. It would be.
No, Ariana, you're bloodthirsty these days.
But thank you guys. You guys left a lot of avenues open for me, so thank you. I love it when you guys do that. And it kind of sucks, but I'll see you guys in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or
See you
Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Right on. Good night, everyone.
What's wrong with Hardback?
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.